Well, good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. We're going to have a little bit of a chill stream tonight because, listen, I'm going to say this. I don't intend for my channel, much less my Twitter feed, to be a constant display of like Nick Fuentes related things. This has just happened in the last week by like happenstance and circumstance and you know a really odd conflation of events that has led us to where we are now. But the thing is that I now have hundreds of grapers following me that weren't following me a week and a half ago. And so the thing is, like, my Twitter feed now is constantly filled with grapers. And I actually don't have any problem with this because they're funny, they're fun. I'm enjoying it. It makes me laugh. I think it's charming against all my better judgment, really. Um, and I've been having fun with it, but the fact of the matter is generally speaking, I do very serious content, okay? I know it might not seem like that on the face of it, but I do deeply serious content. And all of this has been a little bit of a distraction from the serious content that I do. And part of the reason it's a distraction is that I gotta tell you guys, like, I I have been watching like the farthest left socialists on the internet for a really long effing time. Like, I mean, we're talking like really religiously for like a year and a half now, several times a week, if not more. I have never heard the type of whining and complaining about any of the content that I've been doing for like the last 3 years, which was first focused on like introductory stuff around woke ideology and woke culture, and then we graduated into socialism. And you would think that I am definitely not getting high on the internet, okay? That's not gonna happen. That never happens on late night streams. I don't know what you're talking about. The point is this: I've been doing content that should be offensive to the conservative right for like a really long time. And I have never heard the type of whining or complaining or reeing or outrage or any of these things as I have in the last week and a half with Nick Fuentes related stuff. It really seems to me, I think one of the reasons that I get along with the Grapers is conservatives hate all of us, right? They hate all of us. I have made shitting on conservatives into an art form. I have been smeared and canceled and defamed and all of this stuff way, way more by the conservative right than I ever was by the woke left, which is ironic because I do spend most of my time talking about the woke left, right? And so you would think that they would be the ones that would be upset at me. Oh, no, 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 no. Conservatives are way more upset at me on a daily basis. And I feel like the Groypers understand that. I feel like Nick understands that and his community understands that because I have never seen the type of outrage about anything that I've done as I have about retweeting Nick Fuentes a couple times in the past week and a half. And I'm getting all these people are like sliding into my DMs, people that I haven't heard from for a really long time, and they're like, "Do you know who you're associating with?" And I'm like, "Well, he seems to be like a 25-year-old to me." And listen, like the Gripers know this. I've done streams where I've been shitting on Nick Fuentes. I've done multiple streams where I've shit on Nick Fuentes. But I will say this, I do think that maybe a positive outcome of the last week and a half has been that I feel like I actually understand Nick and your community A lot. I'm speaking specifically to the Groypers right now. I know I have my normal community people here too, but, like, I'm speaking specifically to the Groypers. I feel like I understand you now, and I don't think I understood you before. Now, that's not to say that I condone everything that comes out of Nick's mouth. That's not to say that at all. I gave you guys some really sage advice in that stream. The sage advice about leaving the internet and meeting girls, that was good advice. It really was. I just feel like I it's like each group of people on the internet and in real life too, they have their own little subcultures, they have their own jokes, they have their own things that they do, and sometimes those outside of the subculture don't understand it. But I feel like I've started to come to understand your little subculture groypers. I understand why people don't get it. I understand why Nick has been cut out of context probably a lot, but if we're also honest, Nick gets off on saying some really triggering things. In fact, isn't the whole thing about your community like that you guys like to trigger people? You know? I get it. I like to trigger people too. I've been triggering conservatives for a while. Anyway, this started today because I fucking had it. I've had people sliding into my DMs for the last week. Did you know Nick said this? 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 Did you know? And I'm like, yo, first off, I understand this. And I don't know that the Groypers understand this, but I have Groypers, I have my own cancel horde of crazy people. I do. Now, it's not Right Wing Watch, and it's not the ADL, and it's not the Southern Poverty Law Center, but I do have my own little internet horde of crazy people who every single time I would go on a show, the people stalking me on the internet would like slide into that person's DMs and be like, "Did you know Carolyn said this? Did you know Carolyn said this? Did you know Carolyn said this? Carolyn is a horrible person. She's a narcissistic psychopath. Me. It ruined more than a couple things for me. If they couldn't get the person to cancel me off the show, they would like go into the live chat and just completely take it over and act like fucking lunatics. So I guess I'm saying that I understand that. I can wrap my head around that. I haven't experienced it at the level that Nick has, but I can wrap my head around that idea because I've lived that, right? But I want to just lay it all to bed. I want to be able to move on and do non-Nick related content again. Maybe every once in a while we'll dabble, that's fine, but like if I have a reason to or something. But I want to be able to move on and to enjoy my newfound kind of like I don't know if we're friends yet, Groypers, but like, it's working. It's working. Okay. I don't want to jinx it or anything. I want to enjoy this newfound thing with the Groypers and to be able to have fun with it because I think they're actually more fun than most people on Twitter right now. And I don't want to have to deal with people constantly sliding into my DMs saying, "Did you know Nick said this? Did you know Nick said this? Did you know Nick said this? Did you know?" Because it's annoying. Okay. It's like they're all a bunch of Karens doing like a tattletale, and I'm tired of it. I've got too much shit to do. I didn't say I would never do Nick related content. I mean, like, I don't fucking, I don't know. I don't have it. I don't, oh God, I'm going to have to, God. Ugh. I'm not going to lose my YouTube. Calm down. Like, I've reacted to Nick related content many times on my YouTube. If I think Nick says something shitty and hateful, I'll just disavow him. I am not going to sacrifice my YouTube channel for Nick, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not ready for that type of commitment just yet. Anyway, so what I've got tonight is, let me get my little browser up. What I've got tonight is there's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm just going to show you what I have so far. First off, the first thing I wanna watch is the clip that kind of pushed me over the edge today, which is the clip that I was just like, "Fuck all of you." And it was a clip that someone sent me today to tattle on Nick, and that's the first thing we're gonna watch, and I'm gonna talk about why I think this is ridiculous. Yes, I watched the rally. I've actually been thinking about I was like, should I watch the rally again to like look at it with a new perspective? Because sometimes you watch something and then you get new information and then your perspective changes and then you watch that thing again and it comes off completely differently. I was kind of thinking about doing that. Maybe I will at some point. Not right this second though. So the next thing I have is basically I did a search of Right Wing Watch's Twitter account and Nick's name. And so, oh, look at this, a whole treasure trove of offensive things that Nick has said and done. So I have this as a resource that I will spend some time on that. Yeah, see, this is what I learned today from the Groypers. The Groypers taught me that Right Wing Watch is the best source of Nick related content. Everything can be both a blessing and a curse, I suppose. And then I've got this thread. Someone sent me this thread from Betty Johnson from 2019. And like, okay, so here is my trepidation about this thread. I'm not saying we won't go through it, but this thread is from 2019. It's 2023. It's almost 4 years later. I have to like I feel like it's wrong to hold things that Nick said 4 years ago against him for the rest of his life when, in all likelihood, his perspective has maybe I'm not saying he renounces all this stuff, I have no idea. I'm just saying that in 4 years, when someone goes from 21 to 25, they can grow and they can change, and I don't think it's responsible to throw it in their faces for the rest of their lives. I mean, can we remind you that he did profess his love for me on his show last week? Okay. All right. And maybe he does still believe all this stuff and maybe he doesn't. I just have a really hard time kind of like holding someone responsible for that. But I've got it pulled up. Maybe we'll watch it. And then I have this thread right here, and I'm going to put this thread in the chat. Because if you have additional clips that you would like me to watch, just reply to that thread and put them in the thread. And I've got a bunch of stuff. Let me just reload just to see if anything new has like so people have been posting some threads in there. That's me. I don't want to watch me. So I've got some stuff. Oh, bot, fuck you. We're not watching the gay penguin video. Someone also asked me, and I am not going to do this entire thing. I may not even do this tonight. We're going to go through some clips and we're going to see how that goes. People have been asking me though to react to the debate that Nick did with Destiny. And it's 3 hours long, and I am not willing to commit to that tonight because that's a lot, okay? Um, but I do have it pulled up. Maybe we'll do a little bit of it tonight. Maybe we'll do it another time. I don't know. But I do have that as well. So those are the resources that I'm pulling from, guys, for tonight. Thank you for hanging out. I know that you're only here because Nick is not doing a show tonight. And don't think that didn't factor into my equation because I saw that in Telegram and I was like, because I was thinking about doing this anyway, but I wasn't going to do it tonight because I was like, Nick is doing a show tonight. I'm not going to fucking overlap my stream with his show. That would be stupid. So I was going to either do it tomorrow or Sunday, but then I saw that Nick wasn't doing a show tonight. I was like, all right, opportunity. I'm awake. I've got the remains of my beer from earlier. I have a vape pen. I've got some water. Let's have a chill stream. Why not? All right. So we're going to get in. We're going to start reacting to some content. But before we do that, we're going to lay the groundwork, Gripers. Okay. Regular viewers on my channel know this. First off, late night stream is a chill time. We don't act crazy. We don't shit post incessantly. We don't, act a fool. This is chill. I don't want to have to yell. I don't want to have to kick anyone out. Just don't. I have two rules in my chat. Number one, don't be a dick. Don't insult me. Don't insult other people in the chat. Not even if I say something you don't like. You can express your disagreement, but expressing your disagreement is different than insulting me, okay? And we can banter and we can joke and stuff like that. And I understand that you guys are hazing me right now. I get it, okay? That's fine. Just no serious dickery. All right. Just like tone it down just a couple notches. Number two, no whining. If I ask you to stop doing something, I don't want to hear whining. I don't want to hear complaining. I don't want to hear justifying. I don't want to hear any of that. I just want it to stop. I just want it to stop. That's all. I don't think I'm asking too much. Can everyone agree to these rules? Is everyone on board with this? All right. Oh god, this is gonna be a big mistake. I know this is gonna go horribly wrong. I'm gonna get cut out of context like 87,000 times. Whatever. All right, let's jump in. Listen, I always call balls and strikes, okay, Groypers? It doesn't matter. I feel like I have been very open to what Nick has had to say in the past week and a half. I call balls and strikes. It doesn't matter if I like you or I don't. I'm always fair. All right. Let's jump into it. And we're going to start with this clip because this clip was the offending clip that someone sent me today. And they said, "How dare you?" Yeah, now I'm going to be on right wing watch. Great. I'm not even on the right. I hate everyone equally. All right, so this is Right Wing Watch. Misogynistic Christian fascist Nick Fuentes says women are intrigued by him, but have to pretend like they're not. A lot of women. Okay, I don't need to read the quote. We're going to watch the clip. All right. This is already going to get me demonetized. So any super chats you were planning on sending to Nick tonight, if you want to just like, I'm kidding. Not really, but a little bit. Mostly kidding. All right.
I'm not surprised why women don't support me. Women are irrational and sensitive. It's just like my whole life. Because I was always like the class clown. I was always like bullying women. And women have always...
First of all, I would love to see him try to bully me. That would be effing hilarious. Anyway.
Always been like simultaneously charmed, but also... like, oh, stop it. Oh, you're so annoying. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. That's how women are with like, with my personality type, where you're like a rascal, you're like a bastard. And they're kind of like, because I'm like a rule breaker and stuff. And so women simultaneously are intrigued by that, but they also have to pretend like they're not, because women, it's sort of like how a lot of women want to be raped. And when I say raped, I mean like, that sounds bad when I say it like that.
Yes, it does, Nick.
But there's like a lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them. But also they have to pretend, but part of it is they have to pretend like they don't.
All right, I think we can all understand why that might have gotten Nick in some trouble. Thank you, Milty Raper, for the super sticker. I appreciate it. All right, here's what I have to say about this, and this is really going to get me in trouble. And if you saw my Twitter earlier today, you already know what I'm going to say, generally. Nick is not wrong. Real talk. Nick is not wrong. And I'm not even talking about that specific study that he read. Someone sent me the clip of that too. I'm not going to watch it. Like, but like, let me just explain something. Like, BDSM is a fucking thing. Okay? It is a thing for a reason. It is a multi-billion-dollar a year industry for a reason. To insinuate that people don't like to play power games with sex is just wrong and it's just stupid. And it's a little bit perplexing to me that the groypers know this when most of them are virgins and the average population doesn't know this. I have entire videos on my channel about critical dominatrix theory. Does anyone remember? Does anyone of my longer term viewers remember what critical dominatrix theory is? Because I did a whole bunch of videos around this when the whole Jack Murphy thing happened. Like, critical dominatrix theory is essentially this idea that I came up with after coaching. I did executive coaching for a while. And so I would talk to like all these like high powered people in these big important positions and like in like confidential conversations, and you find out some things here and there, and then you talk to their staff and you find out some more things here and there, and I've heard some things. I've heard some things. And some of the things that I've heard are basically this: the men in the highest powered positions are the most likely to go to the dominatrix. Why is that? Because life is about balance. When you're really powerful in one aspect of your life, you try to balance that out by being taken out of control in other areas of your life. Okay? So if you're in like a really high powered position where you have power over things, or maybe you just show up powerfully in life, a lot of people do, you're going to try to balance that out by being taken out of control in other ways. Thus, the BDSM industry, huzzah. So when Nick is saying that women fantasize about being taken out of control, I absolutely believe it. When Nick is saying that women fantasize about getting smacked around, I absolutely believe it. But I hope at least that like fantasies though are consensual. This is not about the actual thing happening. See, this is what this tends to do. I pontificate about life on my stream, mans. Relax, relax. I'm gonna make a whole clip out of this. Where was I? Fantasy is not the same as reality. Fantasy is consensual. Fantasy is something where you are in control of what is happening to you. So if you're saying that a lot of women really fantasize about this, well, yes, look up spanking porn on the internet sometime. I mean, my God, you're going to tell me that no one's fantasizing about this, and yet all of these videos are being made? Of course they do. So you know what? Save me your outrage. This is so, so, so stupid. The amount of content on the internet that is around both of these ideas of being taken out of control and being put in your place and being, like hit consensually and safely, because there are ways to do that. And we're not going to talk about that because it's going to reveal more information about me than I care to reveal. Like these things are a thing. And so to imply that like he is being malicious or he's going to go around and hurt people just because he points out rather inflammatory, because he likes to do things in an inflammatory way because he gets off on triggering people. That's probably Nick's little fetish. Like, he gets off on triggering people. Like, then it probably makes him feel powerful and in control and all that because he's been taken out of control a lot with all the bullshit that's been done to him. And so he has to balance that out somehow. Anyway. Yes. Well, this is another great point. Fantasies don't take into account the practicality of life. A lot of people wouldn't act on them. That's exactly right. There's a difference between something happening in your head and something happening in real life. And like, listen, I've told people a lot, like, this is not about sex necessarily, but like, I've told people, listen, if you hate your boss, fantasize about kicking the shit out of your boss. Really, if you hate your boss, why don't you fantasize about beating the crap out of your boss? Do it in your head, meditate and think about it, like really get into it, like go hit a punching bag at the gym, do whatever you need to do to get those feelings out of your system. And sometimes fantasy is just the best way to do that. And that's the way it goes. So no, I'm not offended by this. I don't think Nick is going to grape anyone. I don't think he's dangerous. I don't think he's going to do anything non-consensually. It's my understanding he hasn't even had sex, allegedly. And so, am I like, why would I be offended by this? This is stupid. Go get a life, go get fucking laid and move on. I've been wanting to do that rant all day and I finally got it out of my system. Let's see. There's a reason Second Life still survives after 20 years. It's a haven for avatar fantasy, including BDSM. Exactly. Everyone needs to relax. All right. Let's move on, and we're going to start going through some right-wing watch. Don't do that. At least not right now. Come on. Come on. Oh, I know. The Groypers are deeply offended when I tell them to go get laid. All right, Groypers, you don't have to fornicate if you don't want to. It's fine. All right. So now I have no idea what I'm getting into. I watched that other clip earlier. I just wanted to do a rant by it. I have no idea what I'm getting into now, except for that first clip. I know what that first clip is because I watched this speech, but let's watch it again and I'll say what I have to say.
We need to eradicate Jewish stranglehold over the United States of America. That's first. We love everybody, but ideas matter, religion matters. We need Christians running America, not Jews. The word is getting out that we got to get rid of Jewish power in America.
All right. Here's what I think about that speech in general. Number one, are you guys fucking insane? How did you not know that backdrop wasn't going to go horribly, horribly, horribly wrong? Some of them are fine. Like the one where Nick looks angelic. See, that one's, well, that's, hang on. The angel wings were actually a little weird. Hang on. Why isn't it moving now? Hang on. No, my internet's not going out. No, this is not happening. I just wanted to show the different backdrops. Why are you being difficult? Has YouTube already canceled me? Oh no, oh no, oh no. I'm going to reload. Hang on. All right, let's try this again. So, like, if we go into, like, this backdrop. What the fuck? Okay. I swear I know how to use my own computer.
Jewish stranglehold.
If we go into, like, this backdrop, that's kind of nice, right? That's kind of nice. Nothing offensive about that. If we go into, like, something like this, that's all right. That looks a little weird. I don't know how people thought this was a good idea, but okay, that's, it's a little weird. That's fine. I don't know if there are any offensive ones on this one. Do you know what wasn't fine though, Groypers? Do you know what, like, was a really bad idea? When the grenades were coming down behind Nick, and when the fire and brimstone, he looked like the fucking Antichrist, okay? I know you like it. I know you guys like all this stuff, but sometimes no, but it doesn't though. It doesn't. It just makes him look like the Antichrist. All right. See, this. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to convince you guys. Anyway, what I'm going to say about this is I think it was a bad idea to bring up the holy war thing. I think sometimes the message could be delivered in a way that is not as inflammatory. And I understand that other people have made the holy war reference too. Steve Bannon made the holy war reference, like, whatever, fine. And they didn't get in trouble like Nick did, and that's unfair. But I just think that sometimes things could be tempered down and the message could be delivered in a different way in which it doesn't create as much animosity. Because here's the thing, and I'm going to be serious for a second. This is a time where you guys can actually wake more people up. I'm going to be honest. I didn't buy into this any of this Jewish stuff a week and a half ago. Didn't care, didn't think it was real, thought Nick was being ridiculous, like thought all of you guys were being ridiculous, thought it was just trolling, didn't want any part of it, etc., 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 etc. Now, I am not down with the Holocaust denial stuff. I do not agree with that at all. I am not down with a lot of the stuff you guys do around race and around the gay stuff. I'm not down with that at all. I will say that in regards to the questions about the amount of power that this is going to get clipped. I know this is going to get clipped. I will say that in regards to the questions of the amount of power that Jews have, I'm now seeing things differently. Because the last week and a half has been really shocking to me to watch people react. And I don't judge people based on what they say. I don't give a fuck what someone says. I judge people based on their actions. And I judge people based on what they are spending their energy on and how passionate they are about those things. Because people's behaviors will tell you far more about what they care about than their words ever will. People lie all the fucking time, right? And so the last week and a half has given me pause about how I perceived things before. And to be really honest, I probably should have had pause sooner because I got canceled really, 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 really badly about 2 years ago because I dared make an analogy about Hitler and the Holocaust in the course of a 2-hour conversation about spirituality. And my comment wasn't even about the Jews specifically. I was just using it as an analogy. And I got canceled to within an inch of my sanity. And it all came from conservatives, and I didn't understand it at the time. I understood it because I was trolling and I was pissed off, and so I was trying to piss them off. But like I didn't understand the severity of it. That all seemed really out of whack with me. And the reaction from people that I had previously respected who happened to be Jewish was, well, a little ridiculous. And at the time, I thought I didn't put 2 and 2 together at the time because I was just more like I was like clinically depressed at the time, and so I just wasn't thinking about it, I think. But, but now seeing what's happened in the last week and a half, I have questions. And I'm paying attention, and I'm not happy about it because I think it's like a whole other level of bullshit that I didn't wanna deal with on top of the bullshit that I'm already dealing with. But my point is this, you guys have an opportunity right now to wake people up in a way that you haven't had before. Because I think there are suddenly a lot of people who are asking questions about the Jews that weren't asking those questions before. I've seen a lot of it online. I've seen a lot of it from people who weren't talking about this subject before. And so you guys have an opportunity now to red pill a lot of people. And I guess my concern would be if you do it in the most inflammatory possible way, you're going to piss people off and they're not going to pay attention to what you or Nick have to say. Because Nick's been doing a really good job in the past week and a half. He's been doing a really good job of being nuanced, and he's been a little inflammatory, but like not crazy. And I think if you guys can like keep going with that, and instead of always trolling, and I'm not saying you can't troll, but I think instead of like always doing that, like being a little bit more strategic, you could end up getting more people on your team. Now, maybe you don't want that. It's entirely up to you. Well, I am not anti-drug use, so you guys are just gonna have to chill out. You're in my house tonight, okay? Naruto says the debate is still 2 weeks away, but who's ready for 2 hours of warmongering by the neocon warhawks? Oh, that debate's gonna be a shit show. That debate's gonna be worse than the last one. Thank you, Naruto, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Let's move on. Misogynistic white nationalist incel Nick Fuentes and sex is gay. I remember hearing about this. Doesn't Nick look so cute when he's not wearing a suit? I don't know why he wears a suit all the time. Anyway, let's listen to Nick talk about how sex is gay.
Your semen, and you should not seek sex, because if you seek sex, you will become gay, because sex is a gay act. It's totally gay. The straightest thing you could do is to never have sex. And everyone knows that's true. Want to know why? Because you retain your semen and you sublimate your sexual desire to creating things. That's why celibacy is the straightest thing. Because who are the celibates?
Oh,
monks, priests, soldiers, okay? Great scientists, philosophers, geniuses.
Okay. Oh, wait, is there more? No, that's it. Okay. Here's what I have to say about this. Number one, Nick is not wrong that creative energy and sexual energy are the same thing. The reason I was so excited about that is you guys are really not going to like this. So, who in the chat knows what chakras are? Nick struggled to pronounce this word the other night on his show. Chakras, I think he eventually got there. Who in the chat knows what chakras are? So a lot of the grapers are trying to get me to become Catholic. I'm sorry, grapers. I am not going to become Catholic. It's not going to happen. I'm fine with you being Catholic. That's fine. You're allowed to do what you want to do. I don't really care. But I'm like very woo-woo spiritual. I do meditation and I do astrology and I use the devil's tools of tarot cards. Woo! I do energy work and Reiki and all of these things. Now, chakras are the energy centers of the body, and there are 7 of them, and they're like a little rainbow that start at your, well, they're all over, there are more than 7, but there are 7 main ones. They start at your tailbone, that's your root chakra. Then it goes up to like your sexual place, and that's your sacral chakra. And then it goes up to your stomach, and that's yellow, and that's the solar plexus chakra. And then it goes up to the heart, and that's green, and that's your heart chakra. The heart chakra connects the bodily chakras with the more spiritual ones. And then it goes up to your throat, and that has to do with your voice and your expression. And that's light blue, and that's your throat chakra. Then it goes up to your third eye, which is your intuition, your psychic abilities. That's like dark purple, third eye chakra. Then it goes up to your crown chakra, which is your connection with God. That's what I believe. You don't have to believe it. The reason I say this is this. The sacral chakra, which is the second one, the color related to that is orange, is about your creative energy. Your creative energy is your creativity in terms of like things you do in the world. If you're creating art, if you're creating music, if you're creating anything, if you're creating content, we're all creating content right now, right? So the sacral chakra deals with our creative energy. The most creative energy is creating a child. That's the most creative. So Nick is actually not wrong that when you deny yourself sex, you can channel that creative energy, that excess creative. It doesn't have anything to do with semen, though. Women can do this too. You can channel that excess creative energy into other creative enterprises. And so he's not wrong about that. In regards to the whole sex is gay thing, I kind of see that as like it's like a dry humor, right? I think it's like I don't take him seriously when he says he thinks sex is gay. I don't think he's serious about that. I thought that was funny more than anything else. Aaron, you're gonna get Aaron, the blue milk fascist. You're gonna get me in trouble, bro. So I don't see anything wrong with that clip. Whatever, I don't really care. Nick is allowed to believe weird things, and I kind of like the whole sex is gay joke. That was funny. Okay. Let's move on. It should surprise no one to learn that neo-Nazi Andrew Anglin is part of the white nationalist Nick Fuentes core group, someone that Nick Fuentes talks to a lot. I don't like that idea. I've heard of Andrew Anglin, and I don't like him.
I'm very happy with this, with our new group, and Keith included. He makes me better.
I don't like
'Cause
Keith either.
it's honestly refreshing to be able to talk to somebody and be like, whoa. And these other guys too. I mean, I'm not even naming so many of them like Wendell and Book Cat. I don't mean to leave anybody out. It's so many people. Even Andrew Anglin, who I talk to a lot, you know, it's just good to have a core group that isn't full of shit. I'm very
Okay, I really don't like the race shit groypers. I really, 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 really dislike it. I think it undercuts you. You're allowed to love Keith. I don't love Keith. I don't love Keith at all. I don't love so, and maybe Keith has changed in the last 2 years since I first blocked Keith on Twitter. Now you guys did badger me into unblocking him. All right. So I unblocked him. I don't want any bullshit though. But the reason that I don't like these people is I think that getting into the racial identitarian bullshit is a really bad idea. Now, I understand that one of Nick's core things is he's concerned about like the disappearance of white people because of all the migrants and immigrants and stuff like that. And he wants to make sure that white people continue to like, exist. And okay, I mean, fine. That's not something I'm necessarily worried about. I don't think that it's a topic that I care to go into, to be honest. But I think you can have concerns about something and at the same time not go down the crazy train bullshit rabbit hole that whole thing is. And I do understand that thing. I think it's incredibly counterproductive. I think the people involved in that movement have skewered more anti-critical race stuff than you guys even understand. Do you guys really do you, like I don't know that you understand this. You guys have like in doing this race stuff, you have actually harmed efforts to fight back against critical race theory in really significant ways. We're talking about legislation has been harmed by this. We're talking about effective activist groups with parents have been harmed by this. I'm not joking around. And so if you're doing things that are directly counterproductive, then I don't care if you like the joke. I don't care if it makes you laugh. I don't like at some point you have to prioritize. And so I'm not going to co-sign any of this race stuff. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't agree with it. And I'm really sorry if that offends you, but I worked so hard on anti-CRT efforts in 2021 when a lot of this bullshit was being pushed more than it is now. And it was so detrimental. Like the right skewered more of the anti-CRT stuff than the left did. And so if you guys want the left to win, it's a great strategy, but it's not productive and I don't co-sign it and I'm not going to get on board with any of that bullshit. Moving on. Anti-Semitic Christian fascist doesn't care if people are upset that he hates those in poverty. All right, let's see.
Why? The people of this country are furious. They don't like my hatred for the poor. They don't like that, and I don't know why. I don't get it. But I don't care because I do fucking hate the poor, and I hate poor people, and I hate poverty, and I'm sick of lying about it. I'm not gonna pretend that I don't. Okay, I love the rich. I don't have any animosity for the rich men of America. Okay, I want to be one. I want all my friends to be rich. I want all white people to be rich. I want to emulate them. I want to be one of them. I want to be among them.
All right. I don't think there's anything wrong with preferring to be rich rather than preferring to be poor. In fact, I think most people would prefer to be rich rather than prefer to be poor. I'm not going to go into detail on this stream because I've gone into detail before I did a lot of streams about it in 2021, and I got resoundingly attacked and doxxed and all sorts of other bullshit because of it, because the race people are fucking toxic. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say this too. I don't think that Nick is toxic. I don't think that many of the groypers I've been interacting with are toxic. I'm not making a general statement about Nick or about groypers when I say this, but a lot of the people involved in that racial identitarian bullshit are downright fucking toxic. They're toxic individuals. I don't want anything to do with them. Anyway, back to this. So Nick's saying that I don't like poor people, I hate poor people, and I want to be rich and I want all my friends to be rich. I mean, how many people in the chat want to be rich and want all their friends to be rich? This is not that controversial. If you had to choose between being rich and being poor, then the vast majority of us are going to choose to be rich. Okay? I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be out on the street. And to be quite frank, I don't really like associating with poor people. I don't think it's a good idea because like you're going to become the people that you hang out with. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to be mean to poor people. I'm not saying I'm going to be rude to poor people or anything like that. I don't have like millionaire friends that I hang out with. I hang out with like average people, right? But I'm just saying that like I'm not going to purposefully surround myself with poor people. I think that's a really stupid idea because if the only people that you're around are and they're all poor, you're going to become poor. And this is not to shit on people who don't make a lot of money because I'm really like, I don't have any ill will or anything like that. There are people in my community that don't make a lot of money. They are welcome to be in my community. We love them, okay? But I still love you. I still love you. You're the best. Don't go anywhere. Jesus Christ. But am I going to exclusively surround myself with poor people? No, absolutely not. That's stupid. And so I don't actually think Nick said anything wrong there. Sorry. He said it in an inflammatory way, but it wasn't actually wrong. Now I feel like I've offended half the people here. Whatever. You guys will survive. You know I'm not. You guys know I don't like. I'm not. It's not that I don't like you, okay? White nationalist Nick Fuentes mocks conservatives who think they can convince anyone by arguing that America is not racist. All right, let's see.
You know, I'm sorry. Where's the red pill? Where's the dog whistle? I'm here to talk to blacks and convince them that I'm not a racist. Like, that's just such a, it's almost even harmful because to even pose the question in that way, America is not racist. Like, once again, well, a guy with no intuitive sense of these things, always on the back foot. America is not racist presupposes someone called it that. Reactive. America's racist. America's racist. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. America isn't racist. Yeah, it is. And if it isn't, it kind of should be. What's the argument? America should be like what? A multiracial meritocracy? Like your boy Tucker Carlson?
All right, here's what I think about this. America is racist. The left is incredibly racist. The left judges everyone based on the color of their skin. They want to judge everyone based on the color of their skin. The right also judges people based on the color of their skin. They talk about them in identitarian groups all the time. And I think we can now add Jewish to that, which Jewish was always like an identitarian group, but it's usually one that doesn't get a lot of play. It's just getting a lot of play right now. It's like Jews in the identity hierarchy are like, they're kind of like Asians. Every once in a while, Asians will get elevated to the top of the identity hierarchy, and everyone's concerned about Asians, and then they drop back down to the bottom of the identity hierarchy. It's same with Jews. Sometimes Jews are at the top of the identity hierarchy where people are all concerned about anti-Semitism and that sort of thing, and then something else happens, and people stop caring, and they drop all the way down to the bottom of the identity hierarchy, okay? So most people on both fucking sides are racist. I'm sorry. You look at like Charlie Kirk and like Matt Walsh sharing these they always share videos of like black kids in schools getting into fights and oh my god, the poor white kids who have to go to the black kids in schools always getting in fights and that sort of thing. Do they ever share videos of like white kids getting in fights? No. I went to a poor white school in Vermont. I guarantee you white kids get in fights. I've seen it. So, like, why aren't those videos ever shared? So I guess, like each side is racist in their own way. I think there are very few people who are not racist. Now, do I co-sign any of that? No, I don't care what color your skin is. Like, me personally, like, I don't care. It doesn't make any difference to me. And so I don't co-sign any of that. But I also don't think that Nick hates people because of their race. And that's really what they're trying to argue, right? They're trying to say that, like, Nick hates people. No, I don't think he hates people. I don't think he hates black people. I don't think he hates brown people. I don't think he definitely doesn't hate Asians. Nick is like so jonesing for like an Asian wife to make him a sushi box. It's like not even funny. Nick definitely does not hate Asians. I think Nick has, some issues with the Jews. I think we can all acknowledge that. Fine, okay. But I don't think he actually hates anyone on the basis of their skin color. And and so like is it a problem? This is the question. Is it a problem to want to view people in different racial categories? I don't do it. I don't think it's a good idea. I would like to judge people as individuals based on their individual contribution rather than as part of categories. But is there anything inherently bad about that as long as you're not treating people badly based on what category they're in? I don't know. Black people judge people based on racial categories all the time. Is that inherently bad? Should white people be to be forced into like different rules? I don't know that that's fair. And again, I say that as someone that I don't really give a flying fuck what your race is. It doesn't matter to me at all in any way. And I don't think it's a good idea, but people are allowed to do things in life that I don't do. And they're allowed to have perspectives that I don't have. And in the grand scheme of things, if it's not impacting me, live your best life, bro. Moving on. Misogynistic Christian fascist incel Nick Fuentes says that once he turns 30, he'll probably find himself a 16-year-old child bride. Okay, well, I think this is probably not going to happen, but okay, let's listen.
No, bitch. I want to drink it straight from the tap. I want it raw. I don't want to wait a moment. Right when the milk is good, I want to start drinking the milk. Same thing goes with women. I don't want to turn 30 and find some 20-year-old, 29-year-old woman that I have something in common with. And it's like, hey, properly aged. Like wine. Women don't age like wine. They age like milk. They don't age like wine. That's not how their hormones work. That's not how they work. Yeah, I gotta find my 16-year-old wife. Probably when I turn 30 or something. Because here's the thing. I don't want to be like, let's say I get married to a 18-year-old now. 6-year age difference. When I turn 40, she's going to be 34. Ew. What if I'm 30 and she's 16? 14-year age difference. When I'm 50, she'll be 36. When I'm 40, she'll be 26. Then now we're talking here. Now we're cooking with gas. Now you can see an alternative vision for how things could be. I want a 16-year-old that's untouched, pristine. Untouched, uncorrupted, innocent. That's what we all want. And all 16-year-olds want an older guy who's like capable and strong and everything to sweep them off their feet. That's what everybody wants. That's what everybody wants.
I personally can't wait to see who Nick ends up actually marrying. Because it's not going to be a 16-year-old child bride. I hope everyone understands this. That's actually not going to happen. But like, I mean, listen, like, I think it will be hilarious to watch what happens when Nick enters into his first long-term relationship because marriage is not what you guys think it is. And I do like the thought process though. It's like, I don't know. He's allowed to want what he wants. He's allowed to try to get what he wants. I don't think his plan is realistic. Am I going to hate him for it? No. Like, most guys have this fantasy about wanting a younger girl and all this stuff, and then so she's still gonna be young and cute for a long time while he gets old and more dapper and stuff like that. I generally do think, though, that finding people that you click with based on interests is probably a lot more important and healthy in terms of a long-term relationship than, the 16-year-old child virgin bride, but if that's what Nick wants, whatever. Alright, this is about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Nick hates her now, so we don't even need to worry about that. Misogynistic Christian incel fascist Nick Fuentes says there should be no such thing as age of consent because girls should be married off as soon as they reach a reproductive age. All right, let's watch.
I think the age of consent should be lower. I don't even really believe in the concept. You want to know why? Because marriage is consent. You want to know what's wrong with sex? Being married means you consent to sex all the time. There's no such thing as
No, it
marital
doesn't.
rape. Because when you marry a person,
If Nick thinks he's gonna have sex all the time when he gets married, I have well, he's gonna be a surprise. He's gonna be surprised. I misspoke, okay? It's the weed. Calm down.
you have a marital obligation to give your spouse sex whenever they want it. It's
No, you
literally Catholic
don't.
doctrine. So, the only moral way to have sex is within marriage. The only way to get married is to consent to sex on demand. And both partners agree to that. That's their obligation. It's a mortal sin to deny it. So that's how's that for consent theory? That's my age of consent. It's not age of consent, it's age of marriage. Age of consent. What is this? What is this? Christians have no use for such things. Christians have no use for such a concept. You get married. A Christian doesn't have sex with anybody. A Christian has sex with their spouse within marriage. And nobody's getting married at a prepubescent age. People get married when they're at a reproductive age, when they're adolescents. And so that, I'm just redefining it.
You know what? I can't take this seriously. I cannot take this seriously. I'm sorry. You guys are all not going to marry 16-year-old child brides, okay? It's just not going to happen. That is not realistic. If you want to try, I guess go ahead, but I cannot take these seriously and I can't get outraged over this because this is pontificating about the exaggerated version of reality that you guys are existing in your little Groiper universe. That's what this is. This is not a serious conversation. You like what you like, you're good. Like, this is something they do this is something you guys do to trigger people. I can't take, no, I have nothing else to say about this. I don't care. I don't care. This was not an offensive clip. Misogynistic, homophobic, anti-Semitic, Christian, fascist, incel, Nick Fuentes does not like he doesn't like Barbie. All right, this might be a deal breaker. Nick, we're breaking up. You are no longer my internet boyfriend. He didn't like Barbie. Well, he is a guy, so of course guys aren't supposed to like Barbie. Barbie is not for boys, Nick. Let's watch.
I wanted a fun beach movie. I wanted dance numbers. I wanted the beach. I wanted pink. I wanted shopping. That's what I would want out of a Barbie movie. I wanted whimsy. I wanted whimsy. I wanted fantasy. I wanted a fantastical, whimsical, lighthearted beach story. Instead, I got this Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf Jewish deconstruction with the 31 flavors of diversity. It was poo. I didn't like it. 2 thumbs down. Fuck you. Movie sucked.
Wait, does he have a longer Barbie review? Where can someone link the Barbie review in that Twitter thread? Hang on. Can someone link the Barbie review in this Twitter thread that I just put in the chat? I'll put it over on Rumble too. Like, I will watch a longer. I have very strong feelings about Barbie. Barbie, I think, was a classic. I think Barbie is easily one of the greatest movies ever made. I would have seen it 5,000 times in the theater if I had time to go to the movie theaters more than once every once in a while. I thought it was great. I cried twice. I made several videos about Barbie. I thought it brought me back to my childhood. There was nothing bad about it at all. Okay? So if Nick didn't like it, I just don't know that we can be friends anymore. I just don't know that this is going to work out, but fine. All right. Oh, Nick not in a suit. I like that. White nationalist Nick Fuentes wishes that China would invade New York City and start treating black people like it treats them. What the fuck? Seriously? Thank you, 808's Griper. I appreciate it.
What if China took over New York City? And what if they made New York look like Beijing or Shanghai? And there was no crime, and there were cops everywhere, and they cleaned up the streets, and they built mega projects and new skyscrapers. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't we support that? What if we had like Chinese soldiers on every corner, and if a black person started spazzing out, they took a sword out and cut his hands off? And he was like, ah, my hands, man, shit. And then they cut his head off. Shing. And his head went like rolling around. You know, his decapitated body, he like fell to his knees with his head off. What if that happened? That would be awesome.
What the fuck was that? That was amazing, actually. Can we watch that clip again? That was hilarious.
What if China took over New York City? And what if they made New York look like Beijing or Shanghai? And there was no crime, and there were cops everywhere, and they cleaned up the streets, and they built mega projects and new skyscrapers. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't we support that? What if we had like Chinese soldiers on every corner, and if a black person started spazzing out, they took a sword out and cut his hands off? And he was like, ah, my hands, man, shit. And then they cut his head off. Shing. And his head went like rolling around. You know, his decapitated body, he like fell to his knees with his head off. What if that happened? That would be awesome.
Okay, I don't know what the fuck Right Wing watches on. That clip was a total win. That is like the funniest shit I've ever seen. Yes, exactly. I agree. I have no complaints about that. That was fucking hilarious. All right? And anyone who doesn't think that was hilarious is a terrorist. There was nothing it was funny. People need to relax. Jesus Christ. All right, Nick back in a suit, whatever. Anti-Semitic white nationalist Nick Fuentes admits he doesn't actually care what I was watching this live when it happened. He doesn't care what happened to the Palestinians, but is siding with them rather, simply because he hopes the current crisis will alienate Israel and diminish influence. Okay, I've already seen this because I was watching live when this happened, but let's just watch it again.
I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't care that much about this conflict. Just like I really don't care that much about Russia and Ukraine. But just like with Russia and Ukraine, this conflict has severe consequences for our adversaries. And what are we? We are an American sovereignty movement. You understand what that means? We believe that the American people should have sovereignty over their own country. It means that we should be able to determine, we Americans should be able to determine how our country is run and what happens in our country. We don't have that right now. Right now, our government is captured by foreign interests, one of which is Israel, one of which is the Jewish maximalist Likud party in Israel, which dominates our government. The Likud regime in Israel has captured our government. They're responsible for the censorship. They're responsible for the war in Iraq. And if Israel's genocide of Gaza is going to rally international support against them, then once again, this becomes a situation where the enemy of our enemy becomes our friend. And so, although I'm an American and I'm an America firster, and on some level I am ambivalent in a true sense about the outcome of these conflicts, we have to recognize their strategic importance. America is the seat of the liberal empire that controls the world. And we are enemies of that liberal order because of our old world views. And so to the extent that Russia is rolling that back, or China is rolling that back, to the extent that Israel is being led into a trap which will alienate it from the world and diminish its influence, then we have to support these causes. We have to be strategic about it.
That leaves out a whole bunch of context. This is the one he replied to, right? Is it, if I go into it, can I see his reply? I think he replied to this. Here it is. Why? Okay, so let's listen to this because again, like I saw this happen live. This cut out a whole bunch of context of what Nick was saying, and just to like be fair, yo, I never wear a fucking bra ever, ever, and it's the greatest. I'm never doing it again. There's no reason to. All right. I work in my house. You guys can't see anything. It's more comfortable. If you had to wear one every day, you wouldn't want to wear it either. So relax, settle down. The only thing you can see is my shoulder, and we all know that you're fantasizing about more. It's all right. Anyway, let's play the full clip because I want people who are like haven't seen it to be able to see it and to judge for themselves.
They are about to commit a genocide, and it is a repugnant and evil government that is led by the Jewish state that is about to commit perhaps the worst atrocities in this century. And if you're a Christian, if you're a Catholic, we have to have some moral clarity here and say that two wrongs don't make a right. What Hamas did in Israel on Saturday was terrible, but those people should be held accountable. What Israel's doing now and what they've done for 16 years is they've held all the Palestinians collectively responsible. And they are inflicting a collective punishment on innocent people, on children, on civilians. They're blowing up schools and hospitals. And so although from a strategic and geopolitical point of view, I am ambivalent because this is happening very far away, at the same time, any Catholic can recognize that this is wrong. This is wrong what they're doing. Do they have a right to retaliate against Hamas? It's an easy question. I think everybody knows the answer. Regardless of what you feel about Israel or any other country, no country should be forced to accept violence within its territory. But with that being said, no state can inflict severe civilian casualties.
Hang on. I want to be very clear, guys. I'm going to make an exception tonight because a lot of you are not my normal viewers. I do not allow the word anti-white to be used on my channel because it attracts an extremely toxic people that I don't want to be a part of. I'm not suggesting that everyone that uses it is toxic, but it attracts really bad people who have fucked up a lot of shit for me, and I don't want them around. Okay? So there are ways that you can talk about being racist towards white people or discriminating towards white people that is not using this specific term. There is no reason to use this specific term. Okay? I'm not going to go into a whole rant right now. I just want to really lay that expectation. This is not something I'm budging on. I'm happy to talk about. If you want to say anti-Caucasian, fine. I have no issue with that. No issue at all. Just that specific term, anti-white, has effed up a lot of stuff that I care about that has been very impactful, okay? I'm not going to allow it. I'm sorry. That may be, but it's been hijacked to screw up a lot of things that were actually productive, okay? That's all. Why would Cozy send you? What's going on Cozy that people are coming? Why is Cozy sending anyone over here? Oh, God. All right. That's all I'm going to say. Let's keep watching this clip.
On a population intentionally to collectively punish
seriously.
a people
Oh,
for the
great.
actions of one group within one militant faction of the political leadership. It's just not right. So I'm calling on all Christians and Catholics. I'm calling on all America First supporters to pray for the people of Gaza and also to get the word out. Hashtag Gaza genocide. It's what it is. They're about to commit a genocide. And like I said, I believe that American government should care about the American people. At the same time, we can call a spade and say that what is about to happen in Gaza is unspeakably horrifying and evil. And everything that the Jews are saying about what Hamas did, well, we know that they're full of shit. Because at the same time that they cry about Israeli civilians being killed, they're about to kill 10 times as many people deliberately. And it makes them the same. It makes them exactly the same. How is it any different? On the one hand, they say Hamas is evil and they're terrorists. They're not like any other state organization because they target civilians. Well, is that not exactly what the Jews are doing in retaliation? It's almost worse because they're going to kill more and they're doing it knowingly. And according to their own moral standard, killing civilians is wrong, but they're going to do it anyway because they're sick. That's evil.
All right. I don't think there was anything that Nick said that was wrong. Not in that clip, not in the other clip. When you take the two together, it actually looks even better. I don't think, like, again, I've been watching him for a week and a half talking about this stuff because I think he's doing some of the best analysis on it. I don't think he said anything wrong. And I think that Right Wing Watch needs to relax and the entire conservative establishment needs to relax. All right, what's this? Neo-Nazi Andrew Anglin defends his friend Nick Fuentes. Is okay. Well, I don't want to watch that. Nick Fuentes, that's not about him. Okay. In the wake of Trump's arrest, anti-Semitic, Christian fascist, white nationalist Nick Fuentes pledges his allegiance. Okay, well, let's see.
I swear allegiance to Donald Trump. Forget the Constitution. I swear allegiance to Donald Trump.
This is not America. Fucking serious.
And I swear allegiance to God and Jesus Christ. That's our pledge. That's our oath. Long live the president. Long live the rightful king of America. Not a Roman salute, but a regular salute. We salute you, our leader, our hero. God bless you. Pray for our president, our real president.
That's not serious. Like, how is it possible for me to take Right Wing Watch seriously when they're taking stuff like that and pretending it's serious? Hang on.
Trump. Forget the Constitution.
They're pretending it's serious when it's not serious. Now, Groypers, I have a question. Did Nick make you take an oath to him at some point? Was there ever, like, I heard a rumor that there was, like, you all had to take some sort of oath to be loyal to Nick at some point? This is not serious. No, I'm sorry. This is not serious. All right. I mean, if you guys want to take a loyalty oath to Nick, I guess that's your business, but, like, come on. I will not be taking a loyalty oath to Nick. I can tell you that. White nationalist Nick Fuentes is deeply pessimistic about 2024. I feel like we're headed toward... Okay, hang on. I can just listen to him say it. That's a horrible tie.
I feel like we are headed towards defeat. And I think this is a sentiment which is shared by almost anybody who's not on the Trump camp, which is that unless we get really, really lucky or unless something significant changes, we are most likely going to lose.
Yes, that's true.
And it just doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel like it did in 2016. True. It doesn't feel like it did in 2020. And it's more than just an intangible sensation. There's no momentum. There's no enthusiasm. There's no excitement. Everybody is absolutely demoralized. It feels like the left is unstoppable. And all those feelings are valid. I feel like we are headed towards defeat.
Yeah, nothing that he said was wrong. The right is absolutely going to lose in 2024. They're even going to lose more now, given the events of like, I'm like really loud for some reason. Given the events of like the last week and a half, they're absolutely going to lose. The right is completely splintered now. Everyone's fighting with everyone else. Half of them are only loyal to Israel anyway. Like, they don't even care what happens here. It has never been. See, this is part of what made me question the Jewish stuff, because I've been talking about the woke left and following the woke left and following the right-wing response to the woke left for almost 4 fucking years. Every day of my life. I don't take vacations. I don't do anything else. I don't do anything of that. And I've seen a lot of outrage on the right pretending to be upset about what the left is doing, and we're going to do this in 1776 MAGA, like whatever. And I have never seen the passion for anything coming from the right that I've seen in the last week and a half towards Israel, or I guess almost 2 weeks now. Like, they have never been more committed about anything. They've never been more passionate about anything. They've never been more, like, proactive about anything in their lives. Like, I have been complaining for years now about how lazy the right is. They are so lazy. They don't do anything. They don't go to rallies. They don't do anything productive. They aren't proactive about election integrity. Like, they have one activist, Scott Pressler. That's it. Like, they have, like, it is so mind-boggling to me that there is one activist on the entire conservative right, like one singular. And they worked him so much that he ended up in the hospital over the midterms. That's bizarre. But, the last couple weeks, all of a sudden, they've gotten a pep in their step. They are fired up. And it's really, they're more passionate about Israel right now than they are in winning in 2024. They don't give a fuck about winning in 2024. It doesn't matter if they win in 2024. But Israel, that's what matters. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I get it. So no, Nick is right. Moving on. It's pretty telling that white nationalist Nick Fuentes thinks that when he was growing up, everyone on the internet said the N-word. Everyone loved Hitler. Well, I don't know about that, Nick, but let's see.
When I was growing up, the internet was synonymous with edgelord, crazy, like everybody said the N-word. Everybody loved Hitler. Everybody was making death threats.
Not everyone
That's
loved
like what the internet
Hitler,
was for.
Nick.
You'd log on to any website at all. You'd log on to the Food Network website and say, I'm going to kill your entire family, N-word. Hitler's awesome. Like, you would go in any forum you would go to. Any forum, any video game lobby would eventually turn into, like, I hate your race. I'm going to come to your house and kill you.
That is such bullshit.
That was the
That's
whole
not
internet.
real.
And everyone on the internet was like that. And then everyone became a faggot. Then pornography made everybody trans. Oh
my God, seriously.
And now it's nowhere. Now it's only here. Now only we're doing that. When I was growing up, the internet was synonymous with edgelord.
I had to
crazy,
get a water.
Like,
all right. I have been on the internet longer than Nick Fuentes has been alive, and I don't think that's true. Now, obviously, we went on different websites and we did different things on the internet. I don't agree with Nick's assessment. I think it's a little, I don't agree that everyone has ever loved Hitler. I don't think that that's true. I don't know who Nick was hanging out with when he was younger. It gives me pause, I have to say. Oh, honey, I was on the internet before that. We're talking like 24/4. No shit. Totally. So, no, I don't agree with that assessment, and I don't think that's responsible. Like, so bad, Nick. Like, whatever. White nationalist Nick Fuentes fumes that Trump is being held accountable in court by a black immigrant judge. Well, I do appreciate he's not wearing a suit. Let's see.
You're a fucking immigrant.
Wow.
We have a black immigrant, and she's appointed by Obama, another non-citizen, another non-naturalized non-citizen from Kenya, presiding over a case of a former president and a job creator and a billionaire and an all-around titan, admired man. And this person is going to throw a wrench in, and so she controls the campaign. She's going to talk to the King of America like this, like they pulled him over for having tinted windows. You're a criminal like anybody else. No, bitch. He's the King of America. You stupid bitch. Go back to Jamaica.
So, okay, fun fact. I may be making some merch for my merch store that is Trump for King 2024. And I've got all these great images worked up of Trump as a king, and I'm really excited about it. And so like I don't really care. Like I think that okay, real talk. I think that focusing on the race and whatever like immigration status of the judge may not have been Nick's best argument, but I just don't actually care. I mean, like, again, this is like he's just being inflammatory. This is his style. Like, I don't get it. Hang on. Do you guys want to see my Trump for King stuff? Hang on, let me show you. And then we're gonna move over and we're gonna watch something else. I just want to get some feedback since you guys seem to be interested in the Trump for King stuff. Hang on. All right, let me show you some of my Trump for King stuff. This is gonna be a quick detour. So, here's my Mid-Journey. This is my favorite one because I like it because it has Trump has the orange robe, and I like that. Let's see. This one is great, except Trump's hand came out weird, and I don't know if I can fix that, but I like it. He looks really regal in this one. I like this one because Trump is smiling, and it looks like he's wearing a fur that he hunted like a Viking. I like that. Got some cartoon Trump. I don't like evil Trump. I don't like angry Trump. Trump needs to be smiling. I like these. I kind of like this. I want to put this one on a t-shirt at some point. It's not a Trump for King one, but I think it looks really bad. Or not doesn't look bad, rather. God damn, no, it doesn't look really bad. No. Anyway, so that's some stuff I've been playing around with. That's going to come up in my merch store at some point. All right, so let's move on. Let's go back to my Twitter thread. Really? You're into woo-woo chakra stuff? You wouldn't have guessed with the purple sparkle? How about the crystals? I've got the crystals too, Aaron. I've got all sorts of crystals here. This is a crystal that I got in Peru when I did ayahuasca for 10 days on a mountaintop. Anyway. Yes, capitalism is the best. All right. So this is the thread that I posted earlier on Twitter, and I asked the Groypers if they had anything of Nick specifically that they wanted me to react to. That they could put stuff here. People are asking for my merch link in the chat. So let me show you guys this. I'm gonna do midstream shilling. I don't have any of those t-shirts up in the store yet, so let me do some midstream shilling. My merch store is Unwoke Art. You can find it at unwokeart.com. Right now, this is the limited edition Trump Indictment Victory Tour t-shirt that's going to be coming down. This is a t-shirt that I made inspired by concert tour t-shirts. And so it's got Trump doing the victory symbol on the front. And then on the back, I have every single Trump indictment. And so these are all the indictments. If Trump gets indicted anymore, I'm going to have to change the design because I don't have any more room. And so it's based on concert t-shirts. And so that's in the store. Got my Trump mugshot merch. I've got this one up. And then I've got another Trump mugshot merch too. This is my all tears are tasty stuff because I don't just drink liberal tears on this channel. I drink conservative tears as well. And so we've got all sorts of all tears are tasty merch for that. What else do I have that's cool? I've got the Socialists Always Lie shirt. I'm thinking very seriously about making a Zionists Always Lie shirt, but I don't want to lose. I really don't want to lose my merch store, and I really don't want to lose my payment processor, and I really just don't want to. And so I'm thinking about that. Got a whole bunch of stuff there. Got my Be Bourgeois shirt with the fox drinking beer. Got my Be Different shirt with the chill Cheshire cat. I love that one. That's one of my favorite ones. Let's see. I got like hoodies. I got all sorts of stuff. This is like a Trump mugshot one I did, except I did it in orange. Just I thought that was funny. Let's see. I'm Not in Charge of Your Feelings. That's a good shirt. One of my favorite things is this mug, or is this design in general. I have this on t-shirts and stuff too, but this is a dragon burning down the Capitol in Washington D.C. and it says "There goes our hero" on it. I just think this mug looks really cool. I'm really excited about that. I've got Joe Biden with the lizard picture. This is a color changing mug because Joe Biden obviously changes into a lizard person. Anyway, there's lots of cool stuff in the store. If you want to check it out, that's cool. If you don't want to check it out, that's fine too. Let's go back to, there we go. All right, let's watch some of the clips that people have put in this here thread. Now, someone did link Nick's full Barbie review. It's 40 minutes long. We're going to save this one because it's a little bit longer, but I'm totally down to watch Nick's Barbie review. I'm not even joking about that because, again, I'm going to base whether or not I can be friends with Nick entirely on this Barbie review. This is going to be like, this is clutch. Nick and I might have to break up after this. So we're just going to leave that one because I don't want to be upset. So we're just going to watch some of the other ones. Let's see. Classic Roy put some stuff in the feed. Let's see what he has.
And by the way, this is how they feel. This is how Ben Shapiro feels. This is how Dennis Prager feels. This is how Mark Levin feels. Joel Pollack at Breitbart. And these are the guys that run conservative media. Ben Shapiro runs Daily Wire, which is the #1 publisher on Facebook for like 8 years. And this is their attitude. And this guy...
Wait, am I really an e-girl though? I don't have an OnlyFans or anything. I'm way smarter than most of the girls on the internet. Whatever. I hear Nick is a rule breaker anyway. He can break his own rules. I don't think I'm an e-girl though. Come on. You guys don't even see my boobs. Come on.
Is maybe the most influential conservative commentator in America, maybe the world. And this is his attitude. He thinks that the lives of Jews are worth more than the lives of non-Jews. He's going to freak out and melt down because Americans would deign to care more about Americans than Israelis. It's so evil, and it pisses me off so much, I can't even tell you. That's why the name of this show is America First, because we care about Americans here, not Israelis. We care about Americans, not Ukrainians. How many people are on television talking about the plight of Ukrainians and the plight of Israelis and the plight of anybody else, other than the people in our own?
I'm pretty sure I was watching live when he did this. I'm pretty sure, like, this is like relatively new, right? This has been in the last couple weeks. I remember because I thought that I liked the blue tie. I don't like a lot of Nick's ties. I think a lot of Nick's ties are garbage. I think Nick really needs a girlfriend to like pick out his ties for him. But this is a good tie, and so I remembered it because of that.
Own country that are struggling. I want to play the clip again after you've heard that, just so you can really.
Oh, actually, I don't know if I did watch this.
Look at the content.
I actually don't know if I did watch
what
this.
What a
now.
hateful! People call me hateful. I'm not a hateful person. I'm indignant right now, but I'm not a hateful person. Look at the derision and the contemptuousness of this pathetic little man.
And again, I want to add my voice to that because I'm a human being. But
Oh, sure you do.
The
You sound very
scale of
outraged.
The outrage.
Oh, look, I mean, and think about that attitude. Oh, sure you do. You sound outraged. The entitlement. Oh, you don't care about Israel enough? Sure you.
I agree with Nick on this. I know what Nick's going to say. Nick is pissed off that Ben Shapiro cares more about Israel than the United States. And I think it's honestly, it should be quite clear to anyone that Nick is fucking right. This is what I was talking about when I tweeted the other day that Nick Fuentes is right. He's right about this. These people care way more about Israel than they ever have about America. And it really is aggravating and it's infuriating. And so I understand why he's annoyed. And I think that Ben Shapiro has looked ridiculous in the last couple weeks. And if there are like any real like America First people still following Ben Shapiro, I don't understand why. I just don't understand why. He clearly will place the best interests of Israel over everything in America. Ben Shapiro doesn't even understand what's going on in America. I know that because I posted a clip earlier today about me destroying Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin, which I absolutely did in my reaction to the stream that Dave Rubin did yesterday. Like, these two don't know fuck shit about what's going on in America. But they're all passionate about Israel, have been tweeting about Israel like fucking banshees for 2 goddamn weeks. So Nick is right. I'm sorry, I don't even need to watch this. Nick is just right. Like, I have nothing else to say. Let's see. Shocking. Barry Weiss red pills Nick Fuentes on the JQ. The author explains how Jews influenced the Roman Empire to kill Christ, how Jews are behind mass migration, and finished their diatribe with the hateful message, the Jew is the greatest trick the devil ever played. I have mixed feelings about Barry Weiss, but okay, we won't get into that now.
The Jew is not going to take my job. The Jew is not going to like take my job in the corner office or whatever. But in fact, it was like a reflection of this replacement theory ideology, which is that brown people and black people and Muslims and immigrants are coming to replace our white civilization. And the Jew's job is basically to pass as a white person, but in fact do the bidding of these people that we deem to be not pure.
Where's that come from?
That is a...
So he's basically just smiling and agreeing with Barry Weiss. This is not a good clip for me to react to. Wait, do you guys not like Tim Pool? Well, how do you guys feel about Tim Pool? What is your guys' opinion? Because I think Tim Pool is retarded, if I'm honest about it. Can we bond over this? Do you guys think Tim Pool is retarded as well? I think Tim Pool is retarded. I do. And a narcissist at the same time. You guys don't like him? Okay. We can be friends. That's fine. Oh, I reacted to this at one point. I reacted to this, but this is like a fun walk down memory lane. Aaron, do they hate Tim Pool as well? Oh, that's so fun. Why do you guys hate Tim Pool? Can we just sit here and have girl time about why we all hate Tim Pool? Okay, I know most of you are boys, but you're all virgins, and so basically the same thing. Basically the same, it's okay. Anyway, I reacted to this at one point, but I'll watch it again. Nick looks so uncomfortable. Even like watching like this clip right now without the sound on is actually pretty rad because Sydney Watson is obviously like laying into him about his views on women and he's like so not having it. I reacted to it live, Aaron. Relax. All right, let's turn the sound up and we can relive this glory.
Promote like the way of interacting with women. And I go, have you been in a relationship with a woman?
No.
So how are you telling other people how to behave towards women when you yourself have not had any actual physical, interaction with them in a romantic capacity, or in fact, in any capacity where you uphold them in a way that treats them with respect? I mean, if you're out here arguing that women are basically half the value of, well, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, in fact, because that's not right. Mm-hmm. But, if you are looking to some other regimes around the world that do think that women are half the value of a man, I have to question what kind of a person who's had no experience with women is in a position to basically promote these ideas.
Well, I'm having an experience with a woman right now, and I've had lots of experiences with women in my life, not romantically per se, but I've talked to enough women. I've been in, I've known enough women to know sort of what's going on. I think any man who is observant enough, and honestly, like I said, we could go back to great geniuses. We could go back to people that have been in relationships. Like a perfect example is like the pickup artists. Have you ever noticed that pickup artists who have the most relationships with women and the most sex, what they say is that really with women, it's the same bag of tricks to seduce a woman or whatever. And I think that kind of tells you something about the nature of women, that, you go from woman to woman and it's the same kind of like little tricks, little things you could say or whatever to kind of hack them and whatever. And I think that kind of says it all about their nature. So
What does it say about our nature, Nick?
Well, it says that, they're not fully rational. I don't believe that, like men, they possess this sort of full rationality. I think that
Rationality towards what specifically?
well,
Or
rationality
just
entirely,
generally?
sort of objective.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think they're capable of that. I think that, a male has a real impersonal sense of rationality and reason. I think that a female sense is far more personal. And that derives from the fact that women are made to bear children. Women are made with their wombs to bear children. And so I think their whole consciousness is basically, it's wrapped up, it's bound up in this idea that they've got to carry a child and then raise a child. And I think that the impersonality, rationality, objectivity suffers from this. But
Okay, here's the first thing I'm going to say. I fucking love not having kids. I love it. I love it so much. I love my money and I love my freedom and I love not having little things running around, whining and crying and demanding my attention when I'd rather be doing other things. I love not having kids. But I think that Sydney, and I actually I like Sydney. I don't think Sydney's bad. See, now the Groypers are breaking up with me. The Groypers are breaking up with me now. I'm sorry, Groypers. I'm sorry I disappointed you. I'm sorry. I'm not becoming Catholic either. I promise you. I like Sydney generally. I think generally, though, Sydney allowed her kind of like emotions to get away from her in this clip. And it's like, Groypers, listen, if there's one commitment that I will make to you, it's that I'm never going to nag you like that, because I don't care enough to nag you like that. I really don't. And so, like, I think a lot of women, like, they get so offended at, like, men don't think I'm good enough and blah, blah, blah. Well, who the fuck cares? Like, truly, who the fuck cares? Why does Sydney care what Nick Fuentes says about her? The reason that she's getting offended is because she wants Nick to have a certain perspective of the world. Nick does not have that perspective of the world. Sydney doesn't like the perspective that Nick has of the world. And so she's nagging him to try to get him to change his mind. He's obviously not going to change his mind, which is the problem. And that, I'm going to bet, is like probably the experience that Nick has had with like a lot of women, where he has a very specific way he views things. And I'm not going to say whether or not he's right or wrong, because I truly don't actually care that much. But like, she wants to control him and get him to bend the knee to her. Now, here is something that I do know about Nick. Nick is a Leo. Nick is a Leo with probably a Cancer moon. I know you guys don't know what that means, but I know what it means, and that's enough. But Leos are stubborn as shit. This is why Nick is so charismatic, because he's a Leo. Leos are very charismatic. This is why Nick likes me, because I'm a Leo moon. Nick is a Leo sun, man, moon, woman. This is why Nick and I will probably get along should we ever actually speak. But Leo men are stubborn as hell. Yes, I mean, Leo is the lion. Leo is a lion. Yeah. And so if Leo men don't want to do something, they will get stubborn and persnickety. All right? And so the fact that Sydney's trying to control him, Sydney just should have been like, like, whatever, Nick, I think this is stupid. That would have been a much better way to play it. But I don't think that, like, Nick is allowed to have bad ideas, and he does on some things. But I think that the conflict here is that Sydney was not comfortable with Nick having bad ideas and just leaving it alone. Sydney wanted to try to control Nick's ideas, and she was offended that she couldn't control Nick's ideas. Well, Nick is a Leo. No, you're not going to be able to control him. You have to leave him be and let him figure it out on his own. All right? That's what I think about that. Persnickety is an amazing word, Aaron. Jeez. All right. I got that text too, Aaron. I'll look into that later. He said that about women like it's a detriment instead of an asset. I guess he hasn't figured out that yet since he hasn't been with one. And there's this yeah, I mean, Nick's gonna when Nick eventually decides to date, whether he dates men or women, and I don't judge, we like what we like. Nick should do whatever makes him happy. But when he does eventually decide to date, Nick is going to learn a lot about women or men. Maybe. I think that Nick is going to stubbornly try to date women, even if, and I know Groypers. I know there is no chance in this universe that Nick is gay. But there's a lot of talk on the internet, so I'm just going to acknowledge it. Okay. I don't think Nick is gay. I think he probably is bisexual, but like, I you know what? Like, let's just, it's just, there are rumors on the internet. All right. Thank you, Cloudstar, for the super sticker. I appreciate it. But I think that Nick is going to, when he does eventually decide to date, probably date women, because that is the scenario that he set up for himself. And I think that he will learn a lot about women when he does eventually try to do that. That's all. That's all. Relax, bro. No one, like, we're chilling tonight. We're chilling. We're chilling. I could be wrong. Nick could be straight as an arrow. I don't judge. We like what we like. Anyway. I'm not offended.
You also promote like the way of interaction.
Trying to go back. I'm not offended by anything that Nick has said so far. I feel like I'm getting gypped. I wanted some good offensive clips, goddammit. I haven't been offended by a single one of these. I haven't agreed with him all the time, but let's see. What's this? Saudi connection to 9/11. I don't know what that little green flag is. Israel relationship. What is this little green flag? Middle East history, RFK assassinations connected to Jewish nuclear program, the lie of the 20th century. No, we're not. No. Don't make me lose my YouTube channel. Oh, Saudi. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. This is 7 minutes long. Let's listen.
Well, that would be the #1 trending video of all time. And he's actually
Again,
thought about it.
This is a bad tie. Can someone please take this tie away from Nick? This tie is awful. This is like his dad's tie.
And here's the thing, too. Yo, we're criticizing, them boys, the homeland of them boys. Saudi Arabia was.
Oh, no. Don't spread any rumors about me. I fucking love Dick. I love it. I love it so fucking much. No, not a lesbian.
Off too, bro.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia had a stake in this too. People don't know this, and no one talks about this shit, but I'm going to talk about this. Saudi Arabia hates Iraq, okay? They've had issues with Saddam for decades. And the thing is this, people don't know this about bin Laden. Number one, bin Laden was a multimillionaire, very successful. He comes from a very wealthy family that was in charge of all the building a bunch of the buildings of Saudi Arabia. Second richest family after the royal family. And he was, when his dad died in like the 60s, he was worth like $5 billion in today's dollars.
Yeah, you're right.
Who is Nick talking to here? Does anyone know? Because I feel a little discombobulated with like not knowing who else is talking.
Saudis are the only Muslims who don't got a problem with the Jews because they got so many contracts with them. Everyone else got a problem with them. And they're like, what about those Shias?
So let me say this real quick, right? So I said all that to set the stage for this. When
That's Myron?
When Saddam invaded
I wouldn't have guessed that.
When it was Kuwait, Iran, sorry. Either way, regardless, he invaded and it caused some turmoil in the Middle East, right? And there was threats to Saudi Arabia. Bin Laden wanted to take his freedom fighters that he had from the 80s, right, that beat the Russians and go to Saudi Arabia and fight the war. But Saudi Arabia was like, no, we're not gonna have you help us. The Americans
Is
are
Nick
come,
going to talk
come
in this
help.
clip,
And that
or is it
enraged
just
bin Laden
them
'cause he looked at
talking?
it like, this is a holy war. Why the fuck are infidels in his eyes helping Saudi Arabia? This is the Holy Land. I'm supposed to be defending it. So what ended up happening was the royal family told Osama, no, you can't fight for us. Osama gets mad, starts criticizing the Saudi government, and then they end up ostracizing him, taking his Saudi citizenship away, sending him to Sudan.
Heidi, I'm so glad you're here. Heidi is the only lesbian that I like on the internet, except for Sophie. Sophie is our abolish the family goddess. Although I think Sophie might not be a lesbian. I think Sophie might be pan, because I saw Sophie going on vacation with a man, even though Sophie's dating a woman. Anyway, that's another topic for another day. Welcome, Heidi, the internet's favorite lesbian.
That's why he was in Sudan in the mid-90s. And then he ends up being radicalized there and saying, fuck America, blah, blah, blah. So that's how he really started hating America, was because he wanted to fight against Saddam. So it doesn't make sense that after the 9/11 attack, we say, oh, let's go invade Iraq, who Saddam hates, by the way. So who Osama hates, by the way. It doesn't make sense. But that's the truth that no one's going to tell y'all, is that Osama and Saddam were actually enemies.
Well, and Saudi Arabia has been in bed with Israel forever. I mean, that's the worst kept secret in the Middle East, is that Saudi Arabia, even long before the Abraham Accords officially normalized these relations, Saudi Arabia has had a relationship with Israel for decades. And this is the Israel strategy. If you take, and this is the easiest thing, all you have to do is take a look at the map of the Middle East, look at all the Muslim countries. You can do this yourself on one of these fill in the blank maps, and color in every country that has been neutralized through a peace treaty with the United States and Israel, which would be Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the Gulf states, and then color in all the countries that have been destroyed by the United States, which would be Libya, Sudan, Syria, Iraq. They want to go after Iran.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same thing. Like, this clip is not offensive. This clip is more just like Nick explaining something. Groypers, I wanted offensive clips. I wanted clips I could yell at. Okay? Like, this isn't offensive. The most offensive thing about this clip is Nick's tie. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible tie. That's the most offensive thing I see here. All right, let's go back and see if there's anything else. I might just have to go watch the Barbie review, because I know the Barbie review is, oh God. Fine, let's watch. Fine, fucking fine. Okay, let's, what, 2 minutes?
Nobody would ever argue that there are not a lot of Jews in these industries at the highest levels making decisions. Nobody would argue that, because it's true. That's just a statistical fact. That's just a fact to say that. But people always say, you can't talk about that, it's hateful and this and that. And you go, well, it's true. And they go, well, talking about these things could lead to bad things, or it's ill-intentioned. If you start pointing out all the Jews everywhere, people go, whoa, what are you, Hitler? No, isn't that just fucking weird? Then people go, no. And it's like, why are you getting, what's the defensiveness about? People go, no, they work really hard and they're really smart. And it's like, well, okay, maybe. But this conversation is not allowed to happen. And you recognize what's going on here. If Jews are, in fact, in power, then they don't want people talking about it. If you're in power, you don't even want people to identify that you're in power. And it goes for anybody.
It's not offensive.
Power.
He's right.
Power is best exercised when it's amorphous. If you're identified as being in power, what do you then have? Accountability. So can we ever talk about powerful people? When can we talk about it? In what way can we talk about it? Who can talk about it? Because you have Jewish people that run banking, and they run finance, and they run the government, and they run Hollywood, and they run the media, and they run the music industry, and you're what, we're not allowed to talk about that? You're not allowed to notice that. If you notice it, there's something wrong with you. If you notice it, people are like, well, why does it matter? Why do you care? It's like, well, it's because they're the ones making the decisions. I'm principally concerned with the political crisis in America, political issues in America. And if you look at political issues in America, they proceed from political decision makers. If Jewish people are overly represented, is it not worth asking what the implications are of this? If it's a particular profile, what is that profile, and what are the implications of that profile having influence? Are there implications? It's worth asking.
I don't disagree with anything that Nick said, if I'm honest about it. Like, why can't we talk about this? Like, just from an intellectual, perspective, we should be able to question anything. We should be able to talk about anything. Why are they so if what Nick is saying is garbage and everything that Nick is saying is completely untrue and it's just untrue on the face of it and it's just completely obviously trash, then why aren't we allowed to talk about it? Because if an idea is obviously garbage, then it should be able to be completely disproven with other ideas. But if, and I'm just going to speculate for a second because, again, well, no, I think Nick is right about this. So I'm not even going to front. I'm not even going to front and say that I don't think Nick is right because I think Nick is fucking right. Like, so if I am in a secret cabal where I am controlling everything and like the people that I'm friends with are controlling everything, I don't want people to be talking about the fact that the secret cabal exists. Because the most powerful people in the world, do you know what I learned in doing like executive coaching and corporate training and like stuff like that? So I used to have to go to like board meetings. So I would go to like board meetings of like organizations or like I went to a lot of college board meetings, like stuff like that. Do you know what the most powerful person in the room does in like a corporate board meeting? Some of like the biggest colleges like in the world. They don't say shit. The most powerful people in the room are the ones that sit there all day and they keep their mouths shut. Because the most powerful people in the room don't need to be the ones running around bragging about the fact that they're the most powerful person in the room. So they keep quiet. And it's the same thing with this. If you are in a secret cabal of powerful people that are trying to control the world, I'm not saying that such a thing exists. I'm not saying there's like an octopus or anything like that. But like, you're not going to run around bragging about it and you're not going to want people to be talking about it. So like, if the secret cabal doesn't actually exist and it's not real, then why would people care if you talk about it? They only care because they don't want people talking about it. So what does that mean? Anyway, I hope there's some offensive clips in here. I gave you one job, grapers. One, oh, look at, there's Trump as a king. That's a good one. What's this? Here's Nick denying that the Holocaust. Is this the cookie thing? Is this the fucking cookie thing? Are you guys going to make me watch the cookie thing? All right, YouTube, I disavow any Holocaust denial. I think the Holocaust happened. I don't co-sign anything that is about to come out of Nick's mouth, but I'm being ethically honest and we're going to watch it. The God Emperor, thank you for the super chat. My favorite thing is seeing people suddenly find Nick totally correct and it worries them. Yeah, I've been having a lot of feelings in the past couple of weeks. I'll tell you what. A lot of feeling. Hang on. All right. I disavow everything that's in this clip.
That. Max says, if I take 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies and Cookie Monster has 15 ovens, working 24 hours a day, every day for 5 years, how long does it take Cookie Monster to make 6 million batches of cookies? I don't know. That's a good question. Certainly. Oh, no. It doesn't really sound correct to me. Wait a second. It takes 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies, and you have 15 ovens, probably in 4 different kitchens, right? Doing 24 hours a day, every day for 5 years. How long would it take you to make 6 million? I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right? The math doesn't seem to add up there. The math doesn't quite seem to add up there. I don't think you'd result in 6 million, maybe 200 to 300,000 cookies. And I think the Red Cookie Association said something like that, probably 200 to 300,000 cookies baked, probably. And in addition, you know, in this hypothetical, I imagine that if you took aerial photographs over the kitchens, you would need to see certain smokestacks to release the smoke from baking the cookies. And the smokestacks would project certain shadows but I guess they're not visible in the aerial photographs taken over the kitchens.
I
Moreover, if you
understand
look
the
at the
joke.
soil
Yes, I do.
texture, it's really not deep enough for mass cookie storage underground. And so there's a lot of things, you know, in the cookie kitchen, they say that the ovens are wooden and they have windows on them and they're not totally secure. And the ovens that they use, they actually did sort of an ad hoc use of that particular kind of oven, even though they made a perfectly good design for ovens for a different purpose, for delousing. I mean, you know, for something else. So none of it really adds up. I don't know. It just kind of doesn't really make sense. This crazy cookie analogy. You have to be, that's sort of an esoteric story. That's from Cookie Right. You wouldn't understand that if you're just sort of passing through, if you're just a normie. So 6 million cookies, I don't buy it. That's all irony. I'm an irony bro. That's all irony. You know, I love and respect everyone. Everything that the government says is true.
I think the Holocaust happened. I don't co-sign any of this fucking cookie bullshit. I am not getting into this. I think this is a bad fucking look. Sometimes you have to prioritize. Sometimes, Groypers, do you know the phrase "kill your darlings"? Has anyone ever heard the phrase "kill your darlings"? Because I'm a writer, and so this is a phrase that comes up in writing, but I think it also probably applies to this. The idea of killing your darlings is you have a favorite thing. Like you have the most favorite thing that you've ever written. And like this is like the most genius thing you've ever written, okay? And you love this thing that you've written and it's amazing and you feel so proud of yourself for having written it. And then you step back and you look at that page, that chapter, that idea, that whatever within the greater context of everything else that's in the book. And even if you really, really love this part of your book that you wrote and you love it so much and you don't want to give it up, within the overall context of your book or your presentation or your fucking American First political movement, sometimes you have to take the thing that you love the most and kill it off and remove it because within the overall context, it's not a good idea. Now, that's not to say that you can't save that thing for later. That's not to say you can't put it in your back pocket until you need it. That's not to say that you can't use it another time or go back to the darling when it's a more appropriate time. But sometimes, just because you can say something doesn't mean you should say something. And when you're trying to red pill a whole bunch of people at the time when you guys actually have an opportunity to red pill a lot of people, maybe sometimes you don't bring something up that people are not equipped to deal with right this second. All right? I don't agree with any of this Holocaust denial stuff. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's a good idea. Nick had a horrible fucking haircut then. I don't know why you guys are like Nick's hair looks so much better now. Can we please come to more contemporary? All right. Let me see. Are there any more in this? No, I'm not watching. Oh, look. Groypers, have you seen my Groyper shawl? I didn't actually intend this to be a Groyper shawl when I first bought the kit for this, but things work out. All right. Let me go. Let's do the Barbie review. And then I'm going to bed. Okay. It's almost 2:00. I'm not going to watch the Destiny debate tonight because like I'll watch the Destiny debate at some point. I promise. It's 3 hours long, guys. A 3-hour video is going to take me at least 7.5 hours to react to. I need to plan for that. I need like beer. I need other stuff like that. But let's just do the Barbie review because this is really what's going to be. I'm nervous because this is I against my better judgment, and I do sincerely mean this. Against my better judgment, I have grown to actually like Nick Fuentes in the last couple weeks. I'm going through all sorts of emotions about this. I don't like it. I don't like admitting I'm wrong. I don't like that I'm working through some womanly feelings. I'm sure you all understand. And I feel like and Barbie is one of the greatest movies of all time. And I have gotten into knockdown drag out fights over Barbie. I have excommunicated people from my community who didn't like Barbie. I will go to the fucking mat for this. And I feel like we're about to watch Nick's review of Barbie. And I just feel like this might be a permanent spear right in the heart of this burgeoning whatever that I have with Nick Fuentes. And I don't want to hate him. I don't. I really. All right. Let's watch the fucking review and we'll just see what happens.
And I want to get into the Barbie review. And like I said, I don't have like a super organized review of the movie, so it's don't expect this to be like a point by point refutation of Barbie or whatever. And you know, I'm kind of just like, I know maybe you don't like the preamble, but I really had no intention of seeing this. Like, I had no interest in watching this. It just didn't appeal to me. It was honestly, I was bored throughout the film. But I wanted to talk about it because it's a really weird movie. And I said earlier that people, even people criticizing the Barbie movie, are missing the mark. And here's what I mean by this. People are talking about what is in the Barbie movie. They're talking about the message of the Barbie movie. And people talk about, is it feminist? And they talk about the political subtext of the film. And I've seen some people semi-ironically say, well, it has a good political subtext. And I'm not even going to get into the story so much. Maybe I'll get into that a little bit. But I saw some right-wing people on Twitter have said, actually, there is a political subtext, but it's right-wing. Because Ryan Gosling
It is
goes
right-wing.
into Barbie land. And
it is right-wing. The political subtext of the movie is explicitly right-wing. Number one, Barbie is the bourgeois. Barbie is the oppressor. Barbie is like everything that the left hates. Number two, when they go into the real world, Ryan Gosling finds out that the patriarchy is not real. Ken tries to go get jobs in places just by virtue of being a man. And then he goes in and he's like, he can't get the job because he wants to go be a doctor. And he's like, I'm here. I'm a man. Can I be a doctor? And they're like, no. And then he goes into like a corporate environment. He's like, I'm here. I'm a man. Can I be put on your board of directors or whatever? And they're like, no. And they, excuse me. And they turn Ken away. See, I've been talking too much today. So Ken actually tries to elicit the patriarchy in the real world, and he finds out that the patriarchy is not real. And so then what did Ken do? Ken goes back to Barbie land because Ken had a full-on socialist moment. Ken is like, the real patriarchy has never been tried. I'm going to do the real patriarchy in Barbie land. And so he leaves the real world because the patriarchy wasn't good enough, and he goes back to Barbie land to implement his own version of patriarchy. This is a deeply red-pilled movie. At the end of the movie, the creator of Barbie explicitly says the patriarchy is a made-up concept. There is no woke movie in the history of woke movies that would say the patriarchy is a made-up concept.
Escapes the matriarchy, he escapes a female-dominated world, and like Prometheus, he brings patriarchy from the real world into Barbie land. And by contrast, you can read the political subtext, the explicit subtext of the film, probably the intended subtext, which is something about feminism and patriarchy and all this. But I think to talk about what the message of the movie is missing the point entirely. People are trying to suss out what it means, and people can project their own meaning, and people can read, because it's not very subtle what the director and the writer's intention behind the film was. But what I saw in the movie is that this is a very bizarre film. And it's not about what the movie says, it's that the movie says anything at all. And what I mean by that is this is a movie about a children's toy.
Yes.
It's a movie about a Barbie doll. And so when I saw the promotional stuff and the marketing stuff about Barbie, and maybe this would have been more true 20 or 30 years ago, I'm anticipating a movie that, like any other children's movie, it may have some political stuff in there. Like, there's going to be a frisbee.
Nick is not going to understand this movie because Nick did not play with Barbies growing up. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to make the assumption that Nick is way too manly to have ever played with Barbies growing up. Am I wrong? So, like, what you need to understand about this movie is based entirely around how little girls play with Barbie. That is the whole point. It was to bring little girls back to the time when there was like innocence and beauty and just like peace and love and clothes and pink things in the world, where all they did was play with Barbies. And girls were in charge of Barbies, which is why Barbie Land is a matriarchy. Okay? Boys weren't allowed to play with Barbies. Like, boys had G.I. Joes, and boys had Transformers, and boys had like all these other toys, but boys didn't have, girls had Barbie, okay? And so if you were not a girl that grew up playing with Barbies, even if you were like a boy where occasionally like you would intermingle the G.I. Joe and the Barbie, you're not going to understand this movie.
Haired black woman in there, and there's going to be some diversity, and maybe there's going to be a gay scene and things like that. We've all seen that. We're all familiar with that kind of messaging. But I went into it basically expecting a movie about a Barbie story. I'm expecting Barbie is a pink, girly doll for girls, and Barbie is in a pink, girly universe that is based on the toy. And so I'm expecting a movie.
Hang on. Did the new Exorcist movie suck like I thought it was going to suck? Because, like, I don't know why anyone would see that garbage. The old Exorcist was fine. I don't know why they have to remake everything. So I'm glad to hear that the new Exorcist sucked, because I would have been seriously perturbed if people had liked it. The new Saw was good. I'm really looking forward to the new Hunger Games movie. I think that looks really good.
About the Barbie dream house and the Barbie car and Barbie world. And basically I'm expecting a Barbie fantasy. But what the movie is this it's like a postmodern conversation. It's like a very philosophical postmodern. And because it's postmodern, it's very political. And that's something that is a feature of postmodernism, is that there's no distinction between political theory and philosophy. That's a very important attribute.
Yeah, Nick is right about that. Okay.
When you look at contemporary philosophers,
correct,
they talk about like the city. They don't so much talk about epistemology or ontology. They're not examining even the same questions as Aristotle or Plato or Thomas Aquinas. They're all saying things that are basically indistinguishable from what a news person would talk about, from what a polemicist would talk about. That's something that is a feature and characterizes modern philosophy, is that it's indistinguishable from political theory.
I think his hair looks a little crazy in this one, if I'm honest about it. I don't like the tie either. Again, like, if there's one thing I've learned from watching all these clips, is that Nick has like a couple of really good ties and a lot of really bad ties. This is what I'm learning. Like that blue tie was great. This tie, I don't know what the hell this is. That red tie with the no, not a good tie, not a good tie. All right? Like, he needs to get like some good, just like solid color ties. The gold stripe in his tie symbolizes wealth. I don't know about that.
And these are middling intellects who are basically just fucking radicals with picket signs, but they call themselves philosophers. And in the same way, this is a movie that that is very much like that. It's a postmodern movie because it's philosophical, but yet very much just about society. And what I mean by that is if you watch the movie, it's almost like there isn't even a real...
Is this when Nick got into a car accident and he had a moment with the woman he rear-ended? Is this what happened, or is this a different car accident?
Story. It's not even really a story about characters. It's more like Plato's Republic. It's more like pure allegory in the sense that the characters and this created world aren't there in themselves, and there's no internal logic. They are stand-ins for a conversation. They are stand-ins for sort of like a Socratic dialogue. And the movie is really a conversation. There isn't even a very explicit message. It's not, there are times when it gets preachy and it does serve to reinforce some cultural attitudes, but it doesn't have a very clear message. You know, some of these children's movies do have a message.
No, Nick does not understand the message because the movie was not made for Nick. Here is who Barbie is made for, okay? Barbie is made for mothers who played with Barbie growing up. Barbie isn't even made for little girls now. Barbie is made for women who are older now, who have children now, ideally daughters now, to have something that mothers and daughters can do together, in which mothers are sharing their love and nostalgia from childhood with their daughters. If you are not a woman who played with Barbies growing up, you are not going to understand this movie. And that's the very best I can do. And I'm sorry for everyone who doesn't have that experience, but not everything has to be made for you, okay? We're allowed to have stuff too.
There's a very clear moral of the story. You can even watch the Angry Birds movie, and there's a moral of the story. You can watch the Lego movie. There's a moral of the story. And we can evaluate, is it a left-wing
No, I'm not
moral?
knitting with tie.
Right-wing
That's
fable?
not going to happen.
But this doesn't really have, like I said, there's preachy moments. There's moments where the fourth wall is sort of broken, and there's a very political monologue. But it's really more a conversation. And the conversation is about Barbie in the world and what Barbie represents, because what Barbie obviously represents in this time is something deeply problematic. And there's a little girl in the movie, this militant Hispanic high schooler, who basically gives a voice to that in the beginning, where she says, Barbie's a fascist. It's commercialist.
Yes. And then her mother brought her to Barbie Land, where the girl was transformed into a girl that plays with Barbies. So yes, Nick is right. This girl was indoctrinated by the public school system to believe that the patriarchy is a real thing, and was militantly against Barbie and hated Barbie and everything that Barbie stood for. And then the girl's mother came into the movie and connected with Barbie, and the girl and the mother went back to Barbie Land with Barbie, where the girl became a normal girl. Barbie is a red pill movie. Barbie made the girl a normal effing girl after she had been destroyed by the public school system.
It reinforces negative body image issues, and women can't live up to it. And over the course of the film, Barbie sort of becomes self-conscious of this, but at the same time, Barbie serves as a mouthpiece for sort of like a ameliorating, moderating feminist voice, where she says, well, what Barbie was intended to do is to give women a hero to look up to. You know, Barbie, being a character in the film, says, in defense of herself, in defense of Barbie Land, she says, well, Barbie is an astronaut. Barbie's a lawyer. Barbie's the president. Barbie
could be anything. Nick is not 5'9". There is no way in this universe Nick is 5'9". That's not real. Can we just like hinge into reality? Nick is not 5'9". I know that you guys want him to be a giant. I know. What was I going to say? Oh, the whole point of Barbie is that Barbie can. I'm not going to Google Nick's height. There is no way in the. Oh, Jesus Christ. Now you're all defending Nick's honor. Fine. Listen, man, it doesn't matter if he's tall or short. It doesn't matter. He is what he is. That's not the point I want to make, though, as I'm pouring some more water because I'm going to lose my voice because I yelled for 3 hours yesterday. The point is that Barbie can be anything. Barbie could be a lawyer or a doctor or a CEO or a skateboarding champion or an astronaut or a hairstylist, or she could go camping, she could ride horses, she could drive cars, she could be a homemaker. Barbie could be whatever she wanted to be. And that was the point. Because at the time when Barbie came out, girls didn't have a role model of just like a womanly figure that could be anything. And that thing could be out and having a career, or that thing could be staying at home. The point was that Barbie was for every girl, and every girl could identify with Barbie.
Is supposed to uplift women and show that women can do anything. And so that's why I say it's a conversation. Barbie being self-conscious of herself by entering the real world gives a voice to this moderating feminism sort of in defense of the 20th century against this militant sort of new wave that wants to burn everything in the past. She comes face to face as the white blonde from Barbie land. And she comes face to face with the militant, newer generation, Latinx, Hispanic girl. And the Latinx, Hispanic girl says, oh, I'll give it to you straight. You're a fascist. You represent commercialism and negative body image issues. And Barbie runs away crying. Oh, my.
Hang on. Tall men can be hot, but shorter men are generally better in bed. Fun fact.
My gosh, I thought you would hug me and love me. And she argues with her. I represent women being the president on the Supreme Court and so on. So there's this dialogue that goes on. And this is something that's consistent throughout the film. I'm just giving you one scene in the movie. But that is really what the whole film is about. And it's very meta. It's self-aware. And it's deeply self-conscious of itself. And
yes,
here's something.
I agree.
It's almost as if the creators of the film know that they couldn't make a Barbie movie. In this day and age,
what are you talking
cannot
about?
Make a movie about something.
They made a conscious decision to make a movie that was going to appeal to a very specific demographic, which is mothers that played with Barbies growing up.
Thing is problematic is Barbie. They couldn't make an innocent Barbie fantasy. Why? Because Barbie is too idealistic. She represents idealized beauty and femininity, and even to the extent that she's feminist, she's too white and she's too fucking blonde and too perfect. And the left and the left vanguard in society is at war with those concepts themselves. They're at war with whiteness. They're at war with idealization, excellence, beauty.
Wrong. The left is not at war with whiteness. They're at war with capitalism. Whiteness means capitalism. It does not mean skin color. That's not a conversation we're going to have anymore tonight, but that is not correct, Nick.
All that. And so it's almost like the creators of the film know that they just couldn't make an innocent Barbie fantasy like I said I expected from this movie, because to make something like that on its face would be unacceptable, would be roundly condemned and rejected as white and anachronistic and all those kinds of things. So this is almost like the only way they could make a Barbie movie was self-conscious. They had to walk into this on the back foot in a defensive way. saying, I know.
No, Nick
I'm
is
too white,
completely
I'm
wrong
too
about
perfect,
this.
Fuck me.
He's
This is terrible.
completely wrong about this.
And not completely, because it's still, I mean, they're still selling Barbie dolls. It's a licensed Barbie product. But this is almost like
No, they
had
don't.
to
Guys, listen. I am not going to get into this argument with you tonight. I'm really not. I am way too high to get into this argument with you tonight. But I have done explicit streams breaking this down. And so you can go back and watch the Whiteness is Property stream that I did earlier this week. You can go to my Substack where I have explicit clips showing that whiteness is not about skin color. They explicitly say this, guys, in no uncertain terms. They say it is not about skin color. Like, it's not confusing. It's not coded. They tell you explicitly. So we're not going to have this conversation anymore right now, because right now we're focusing on Barbie, okay? But I'm happy to have this conversation another time, because this is something that Nick is not correct about.
Explained themselves. They had to sort of rehabilitate Barbie in a very self-effacing way to pitch Barbie to this insane world. Like, I get it. Don't worry. This Barbie is not pink and not fantastical. She's woke and she's very aware of how problematic she is, etc. And you could see this throughout the film. Like, for example, there's a scene in the movie where Ken takes over Barbie world and makes it a boys club.
Yes.
And all the Barbies are brainwashed.
And Ken doesn't even know how to do the patriarchy correctly, because Ken doesn't even want to do. See, this is about the beauty of Barbie, guys. Ken, and I know you guys like the patriarchy grapers, I know, but Ken didn't even want to do the patriarchy. Ken didn't want to run Barbie Land. Ken just wanted attention from Barbie. That's all he wanted. He felt ignored by Barbie. He felt disregarded by Barbie. He felt rejected by Barbie. He was in love with Barbie. He wanted to stay over at Barbie's house, even though they don't even know what sex is. He just wanted Barbie's attention. He was always afraid that Barbie was going to give the attention to the other Kens. But, like, that was all he wanted. Ken didn't want to control Barbie. Ken did not want to run Barbie Land. Ken didn't even want the patriarchy to exist. He just wanted Barbie's attention. That was it.
Being Stepford wives. So Barbie has to go in and deprogram them by making them feminists. But here was something interesting. It couldn't be Barbie that does that, because Barbie's white. Barbie's a white, blonde, perfect girl. She couldn't do that, because that would be a white savior. So you know who goes in and deprograms all the Barbies? Some Hispanic woman. So it had to be, and this is a decision I'm sure that was made. It couldn't be Barbie that saves Barbie world. It had to be Barbie with the help, the essential help, the indispensable help of a Latina.
Well, the reason that she had to help, it had nothing to do with their race. The reason she had to help is because she was a real woman in the real world. Barbie was not a real woman in the real world. Barbie was a Barbie doll from Barbie. This freeze frame is amazing. Can we just all take a second to appreciate this? I love a good freeze frame. Come on. Anyway, the reason that it had to be America Fiera, they want. Hang on, I'm about to rant. Hang on. All right, hey, Jesus fucking Christ. There. Are you happy now? Are you happy now? Okay, this is better. All right. America Fiera had to deprogram the Barbies because America Fiera had been a real woman in the real world. She had real world experience that Barbie did not have. That was the point. The way the Barbies got deprogrammed was by acknowledging that there are things about being a woman where you're held to different standards that, I'm sorry, boys, men don't have to hold themselves to. Now, I'm not saying men don't have different problems. Men have problems that I can't possibly understand as a woman, and women have problems that you cannot possibly understand as men. All right, there are things we have in common, and then there are just things that are different, and that's okay. We like the gender binary. The gender binary exists for a reason. All right. So the reason that the Latina woman, which had nothing to do with her race at all, this has nothing to do with being white or brown or black or Asian or Jewish or any of these other things. The reason it had to be America Fiera is because she had experience being a real woman in the real world that Barbie did not have, and had experience with the incompatible expectations that people have of women. And so by acknowledging that, she deprogrammed the Barbies by saying it's just really hard to be a girl. It's hard to be a girl. It's not easy. There's all this bullshit that we have to deal with. And again, that's not to say it's easy to be a boy. I'm not saying that, but that just wasn't. Men, you were not the focus of the movie, okay? It was a girls' movie, so it didn't talk about you. But that's why it had to be her. It had nothing to do with her being Hispanic.
From the real world. Otherwise, it'd be a white savior. And so these are the kinds of things that happen throughout, where it's very clear. Again, they're reinforcing these sort of existing cultural norms. You had all the usual crap in there. There's a wheelchair Barbie. There's a fat Barbie. There's a trans Barbie. Of course, the president of Barbie world is
the best Barbies were the weird and the Barbies that had been played with too much, because that's like a real thing. Every girl had a Barbie that had just been played with too much, that was like in a permanent split, that had the haircut, that there was marker involved. Every girl had that Barbie. Everyone understood that.
Is black. She's an obnoxious black woman. That's the other thing. The black president Barbie so...
All Barbies are equally obnoxious. They aren't different levels of obnoxious just because they're black or white. All Barbies are equally obnoxious. It is not fair to say the black Barbie was more obnoxious than like other Barbies, because they're all the same. They're all fucking Barbie. They are literally all the same, except they have different jobs and occasionally different haircuts and different outfits. That's the only thing that's different. They're all equally insufferable.
Like cocky and obnoxious. And I'm just so over that. That's not even all black women. I just did a panel with black women on Fresh and Fit, and they were actually all very pleasant. They were actually all, believe it or not, on and off camera. Although we disagreed, they were pleasant enough. They were nice. But every depiction of black women in Hollywood is so repulsive. And, I think black women are attractive. It's not even their looks. They're all portrayed with this gross attitude. They think it's like empowering. They think it's like,
I don't actually disagree with Nick here. I don't disagree.
But it's just so belligerent and
not every woman needs to be a boss bitch at every time. Sometimes it's okay to not be a boss bitch too. I actually don't agree with... No, I don't disagree with what he's saying. I also don't think that what he's saying just applies to black women, by the way. I think they do this with a lot of white women too. I think they do this with all women.
Maybe above all else, it's cocky. They're so insincere. Like there's this scene where, I forget exactly what was said, but at the end of the movie, the black president's back in charge, and she has this dialogue with the Alan character and the Kens, and she's just making these faces and everything. And this is like where all the modern culture comes from.
She was making faces because when the Kens took over Barbie Land, they ruined it. They ruined it. They put horses everywhere. They put beer everywhere. They put Ken stuff everywhere. And I think the Barbies were annoyed that the Kens mucked up their beautiful, pristine Barbie Land with all of their horse nonsense and beer. I think if someone came into your place and they just started decorating with horses and putting beer fridges around, like you might be annoyed at that too, unless you really like horses and beer, in which case, why wasn't it decorated like that in the first place? I would be annoyed if someone came. I mean, I wouldn't be annoyed, like, as long as it's good beer. Can we agree on good beer, at least? I'm not talking like Bud Light or Coors Light or any light beer, like good beer. Anyway.
Saw black women as the lowest income earners, the lowest wealth, lowest educational attainment. And naturally, they had to flip this hierarchy on its head. And this is the Beyonce worship. This is why you see frizzy-haired black women and everything. And so as a consequence, it's like all culture now flows from the black women. And so they've made everything, even like the worst groups, they have made worse. Like, it used to be the case that gay men imitated like Valley girls. Gay men imitated like Madonna. They imitated like hot white women. Now gay men all imitate black women. And all white women imitate black women. And this is where you get this really repulsive subset of the liberal culture. It's like
I don't agree with this.
Wigger, where you get
what?
You get this night.
What the fuck did he just say? The feminine. I'm not going to say that word. I'm not going to say it. I know it's the W and not the N. I'm not saying it. I don't co-sign that.
Nightmare coalition of Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, this like ghetto trash, which is emulated by white chicks, by liberal white chicks, and by white gay men. And they're like the culture makers.
I just want it to be noted that I definitely do not emulate black women, and that's no shade on black women. I just definitely don't emulate them. If anything, I emulate like emo musicians, which I'm sure is a whole other type of psychological profile that we can analyze. It's not, but like most emo musicians are white. That's got to be good. God,
they're like that. That duo is like the culture makers. So it's like this dark triad of black women, this like ghetto black attitude, this unearned cockiness, which is really just brazen, obnoxious.
I mean, I'm surrounded by goddamn libertarians. Of course I emulate autism. I'm surrounded by autism. I don't think I'm autistic, but I feel like I've started to become autistic by constantly being around libertarians that are drenched in autism. And Groypers, if we're honest, you have your autism too, all right? Like, you guys are, this might be why and I know you guys don't like libertarians, but trust me, like, you guys are just as autistic as the libertarians, okay? Yeah, see, look at this. See, like, emo is white culture, so you guys must like it then. Okay, so this might be why we get along. I don't know.
Aloof, whatever. And this is inseminated then to the white gay men and the white women. And this is where you get this like slutty, disgusting, empowered, these facial expressions and all that kind of shit that you see on TikTok. So there was a healthy dose of that in there. And anyway, so now I'm just getting to like individual things. Aside from that, of course, what else can we go into? There's Ken is crying at the end of the movie and she says, oh, it's okay, men can cry. It's almost like that to check every box and say, this is unprobable.
Ken was going through an identity crisis. Ken was finding himself for the first time. It's okay for men to be emotional if they're having to, like, Ken was having to let go of this idea of him and Barbie together because they needed to be individuals. And so Ken was finding himself as an individual. There's nothing wrong with being a little emotional when you have to let go away everything that you thought your life was going to be. Nothing wrong with, it's okay to cry, Groypers.
Problematic. We've unproblematized Barbie in this way. We've unproblematized Barbie in that way. Barbie makes a self-effacing joke about high heels. Oh, if my feet were always flat, why would I wear high heels?
Oh.
If you watch a movie, you get what I'm talking about.
So is this why you guys told me to like post my Doc Martens? Is that why you like emo girls? This is so fascinating. There's so many aspects of Groyper that I have to learn. This is like I feel like I'm learning socialist again, except it's Groyper. Like I had to go like I dove deep into socialism for like a year and a half, and I got accustomed to speaking socialist fluently and understanding socialist culture and dressing like socialist and all these things, and now I need to understand Groyper culture in the same way. No, it's not. Is it really? Wow. Fascinating. What wouldn't I get about it? Try me. What is the definition of an e-girl? A lot of goths are e-girls these days. Like, what does that even mean? All right. Well. You don't know the Avril Lavigne Paramore millennial aspect of what is it? Is this like a thing? Is Avril Lavigne Paramore, like, are these things good or bad? Explain yourselves, Groypers. It's 2:20. Well, I still have a little bit left. I want to know more about this though. Oh, see, I'm definitely not an e-girl. I don't appeal to men on the internet. I don't even show off my tits. Like, I don't wear low-cut top. Like, this is about as low-cut as it gets, and you're not actually seeing anything. All you're seeing is my tattoo. That's it. So I'm not fuck you guys for calling me an e-girl earlier. I'm not an e-girl, please. All right, let's just keep going.
About men can cry, okay, et cetera, et cetera. And just checking all these boxes. And you know, I feel like that.
Actually, I would never, ever, 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 ever admit this if it wasn't 2:30 in the morning and I wasn't high on the internet. You guys ready? I fucking love Avril Lavigne. There's one Avril Lavigne album I've listened to over and over and over and over and over again. It's a little bit of a problem. I get it stuck in my head. It's not good. And I have to go and listen to it because it's stuck in my head. True story.
That's very cheap, though. I think anybody could talk about the liberal. There's a lot of liberal garbage. Where to even start? Overall, the message is very feminist. It's about unproblematizing. But maybe to wrap it up, I'll wrap it up with this. So there's a point in the movie where, well, actually, there's one other thing. And then I'll wrap it up. Maybe the most political, the most explicit scene in the film is this. The Hispanic woman comes to Barbie World. She's an Hispanic mom. And she comes to Barbie World and she meets with Kate McKinnon, who's a fucking lesbian, and she plays a fucking lesbian.
No, she plays weird Barbie, Nick. That's not correct.
Barbie and some other Barbie this and Barbie that. And the Hispanic woman gives this big speech about how hard it is to be a woman. And she vents the frustrations of modern women. That women are supposed to be skinny but not want to be skinny. That women are supposed to... the system is rigged, but they can't talk about it, but they have to overcome it. That this, all the kind of stuff you hear women say on Twitter. And then at the very end, and I knew it was coming, like I telegraphed it, she gives this big speech and she works herself up. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to be a woman. There's these, we have to be nice and we have to be skinny and we have to not be bitches. And she gets to the end and she says, I'm just so tired. And I don't know about you, but I am so fucking sick of minorities and women saying this. It's everywhere. Women love saying this.
Don't you guys complain about how hard it is to be men all the time? Really? Don't you guys complain about how hard men have it all the effing time? And women can't have one movie, not one movie, where we complain about how hard it is to be women? I will acknowledge that there are things that are hard about being men that I don't have to deal with. Many things that I'm glad I don't have to deal with. But can we just let can we just let the genders have their own things? Can't we all have spaces where we complain about life? Like, please?
This. I'm so fucking tired. And it's like, bitch, you don't even do anything. It's like, tired. You don't even do anything. You don't have a real job. All you do is
She did
lay
have a
in
real
bed
job.
and scroll on Instagram and eat DoorDash in your bed. They all talk. I'm just so freaking tired. It's just so tiring. Tired. And then especially all these Black and POC women. You are the beneficiary of affirmative action. You are the beneficiary of people pretending you're prettier than you are and commenting on your Instagram post. You're beautiful, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. We know what a gynocratic society we live in.
Gynocratic, seriously.
Modern young women are the laziest pieces of shit, basically.
That's
in
true.
human history.
I
Let's
agree
just
with
be
that.
honest.
I agree with
They're
that.
all overweight.
I agree with that. Most women suck, and young women are annoying as fuck. And I've heard this from more than a few. I'm considering if I want to say about what I was about to say on the internet. Fuck it, whatever. I've attracted more than a few younger men in my life because I'm not a bitch and I don't look my age. And what I have consistently heard from the young men who have shown interest and have had conversations with me is that they don't like women their own age because they're annoying as fuck. And I can understand that. I have heard many, many times about all the way that women that are in their 20s are entitled, are bitchy, are naggy, don't leave men alone to let them do their things, complain all the time when men hang out with their friends, except like always want to hang out with the men, never want to leave the men alone to like go do their own thing, spoiled, self-centered, feel like they're entitled to like everything. I have heard this over and over and over and over and over again. So I can understand why men that are younger are hating women entirely because a lot of women are annoying. And what I would tell you guys is that there are also a lot of women who agree with you that women are annoying and just want to be cool and just want to be chill. All right? Those women exist too. Don't write off all women because you have run into annoying bitches.
None of them know how to cook. They don't know how to clean. They have no practical skills. They want to make money in bed. Even the women that are sugar babies don't want to put out. Even the women, and because you see this all the time, even the women, maybe you don't see it all the time. I feel like this is commonplace. Women expect that they could basically get paid simply to exist. They think that they should be able to live in a contemporary all-white apartment and eat at Chipotle and work out at Equinox and not actually do anything, not actually do hard work or do anything that's difficult. They think that they should be able to afford all this and travel and be artistic and whatever and be mediocre.
Because they're all socialists.
Just laying in bed and being, fabulous or whatever. And even the women that think that they can do all this from like men that are interested in them, they don't even want to put out. They're like, even the women that want to basically slut it up to make a living, they think like, well, I should be able to slut it up, but also not. And you hear it even in like these songs. It's like very much in the culture. They literally think that they should be paid by simps. It's like prostitution without the sex.
Yeah. Okay. So I get the annoyance with this type of woman, and I agree with Nick actually. And this is why like I'm like Brittany Venti like is one of the most annoying people on the goddamn internet Does Brittany Venti actually do anything? Like, women like that, I have no use for. It's like, you give all women a bad name. I don't even understand what you're doing. So I get this. I totally understand this rant. I don't actually disagree with what Nick's saying. The only caveat I was give is that not all women are like this.
They think that they should be paid just for being hot without giving sex, also not even being hot. They're going to be 150 pounds. They're going to be overweight, have a fucking muffin top, not put out, be bitches, and get paid by interested men. Like, that's what women think this society is.
Wait. For real? How did that go? For real? I totally want to watch this interview. Not tonight. It's almost 3 a.m. We're going to finish this and I'm going to go to bed. But that's fucking hilarious. Nick Fuentes is about 8,000 times smarter than Brittany Venti can ever hope to be. Wow.
And they go on Twitter and say, I'm just so fucking tired. You're in sweatpants. You're in sweatpants. You're in sweatpants and you sit in your bed all day and you smoke pot and you're a fucking bitch and you don't even put out and you have a muffin top and you talk about, oh, I'm just so tired. From doing what? From doing what? That's like that's my reaction to that rant in Barbie. You know, this Hispanic mother in the film.
She literally
had so tired from
that Hispanic mother literally had a job. She had a job. She worked at Mattel. She was like in charge of like the board, not on the board, but like an executive assistant or something, which is like an executive assistant is a really effing hard job. Don't ever shit on executive assistants. Executive assistants get shit on by like everyone all day for everything. I'm very protective over executive assistants. I've had to befriend a lot of them when I did like corporate training and stuff like that. But anyway, she was an executive assistant, Nick. She didn't have no job. She wasn't laying in bed all day eating fucking bonbons. She did have a job.
Doing what? They don't have kids.
Is Brittany Venti why Nick says you guys can't sleep with e-girls? Well, I can understand that. If that's what like precipitated that, then I can understand it.
They're fucking fat. They're not pleasant. They're rude. They swear. They don't pay for dinner. They're not smart. They have no skills. They have no job. They have no money. And they don't even put out. And then they go on to, I'm tired.
Did Brittany Venti like, is the reason that you got, did Brittany Venti like turn Nick down or something? Is that why this all, does that explain? I'm just asking.
Like, that makes me crazy. That makes me more crazy than anything. Because it's like, you know, men are tired. Like, you know, men are tired. I would even say like women from another generation.
How did she betray him? What did she
not
do?
To be like a gay boomer about
Hang
it.
on. I want the backstory on the how did Brittany Venti betray him? What happened? Well, I'm glad to hear that Nick found her disgusting. Because she's annoying. And that would have been beneath him. Really? Did he turn her down? What? Oh, started attacking. I was like, she started being codependent on him or something. Well, of course Brittany Venti did that. That's the type of thing that Brittany Venti would do. All right. What rumors did she spread? I want all the gossip, Groypers. Give me all the gossip. We're going to keep listening, though.
Because, you know, a boomer would say, well, the women in our generation, you know, they sired 10 kids. You know, they had 10 kids and raised them and they made bread with their hands and they worked the field and they made porridge.
I'm
not even gonna go there because like I don't want to give women any credit when they talk like that because those women had it in them to be this. But so that was like the most preachy part of the film. That was the most like if the film wanted to say what it was, what the screenwriters felt, that was the monologue. It's just so hard being a woman. We're tired. And that's what broke the conditioning for the women. Anyway, that I see red when I hear women say that, because you see it on Twitter all the time. I'm just so fucking tired. And you see these modern women, and they are just despicable. And it's not all of them, but they're the worst human beings in the world. They post on their Instagram stories. And by the way, this isn't even I know you talk like this and people say, oh, this is sexual frustration. You're an incel. I'm asexual. I don't give a shit. Okay. But you see these women post on their Instagram.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm empathic as fuck. I've tuned into Nick's energy because I know how to do all this energy stuff. Nick is not asexual. I hate to break it to you guys. He is not asexual in any way. Now, what he does do is he channels, we saw earlier in one of the clips, which he explained correctly. What he does is he channels not having sex into creative energy, which is why he is probably as successful as he is. So that's true. He's not asexual though.
And they're so narcissistic. It's they'll be posting these quotes where it's it is not my job. Your mental health is not my problem. It is not my job. I got to take care of me first. And I'm taking a mental health day. Some modern women are lazy, narcissistic. They're rude. They do what they want when they want, no accountability, whatever. And again, they dress like shit. They're fat. And then they talk about abusers and,
Did he say incel or did he say asexual? Because it sounded like asexual to me. If he said incel, well, fine, but it sounded like asexual to me. Again, maybe I'm just really high. I don't know. I'm getting really tired though, so we're gonna finish this up and then I'm gonna go to bed. But maybe I misheard because I'm tired.
Gives this monologue. She does a driving maneuver, and the daughter says, "Mom, how'd you learn to drive like that?" And she says, "So there was this guy." And the daughter goes, "Dad?"
So he did say
And
asexual.
goes,
he did say
"Yeah,
that.
Sure, honey, it was your father." And it's okay, so the mom's a fucking whore. And then she's going to go and say, "I'm tired." It's
asexual is not the same thing as incel. Okay, everyone is saying okay, he did say, I heard it right. Okay, you confused me. Sorry.
Why should we not grab these women by their necks? You know what I'm saying? It's
wow, that was
aggressive. They want to have it all. They really want to have it all ways. They're, what man would tolerate that? What man would be cool with that? Where their wife is talking about, oh, I was so adventurous with this other guy I dated and had sex with. But then they want to get butthurt about expectations. It's so let me get this straight. You're an emotional whore who admittedly is very moody and dark and complex and whatever. And you're old and you don't look good anymore and blah, blah, blah.
I'm going to be honest. Nick is far superior to John Doyle. We watch more John Doyle on this channel than I feel comfortable, because I used to have a show where we watched this sort of thing, and the guy I did it with just wanted to watch John Doyle over and over and over again. And no, Nick is far funnier than John Doyle. Nick is far more insightful than John Doyle. I wish we had skipped over John Doyle and gone right to Nick, because far superior. Oh, did John Doyle betray Nick? How did John Doyle betray Nick? What did he do? What did he do? Explain yourselves, Groypers. What did John Doyle do to Nick?
And we can expect nothing from you, and you're just really tired, and we should leave you alone. And it's so I'm sorry, what do you contribute? Why are we supporting all these people?
Why did he attack you? What did you do? What did you do to deserve to be attacked? What happened? Oh, he disavowed him after that interview was something else, man. But you didn't have to denounce anyone. There was no need to proactively denounce anyone. For once, Nick wasn't even really the one saying all the crazy shit, was he? I mean, Anyway,
I could just go. I'm just ranting and raving, but that just drives me crazy. So that was like the most preachy part of the film. But to tie it all up, at the end of the movie, Margot Robbie, the main Barbie, she's saying something, and it's a
wait. Nick is afraid of people touching him and he has phobias like that. That's why he's asexual. Well, that doesn't mean he's asexual. He didn't watch Oppenheimer because he read there was jump scares in the movie. Wow. Okay. I'm learning so much tonight. This is great. What else? Guys, we have about 15 minutes left of this stream, so or at least of this clip. Is there anything else I need to know about Nick? Like, what other Nick, well, I have you all here and it's almost 3 a.m. What other Nick gossip do I need to know? Bring me up to speed on everything that I should know about his phobias, his rants, his enemies, his like whatever I need to know. I'm just curious.
Again, it's almost like Evangelion. At the end of the movie, there's a scene where the inventor of Barbie is having a conversation with Barbie. Again, it's like this Plato Socratic dialogue.
I know he wants them to make them
like
sushi.
This like heaven-like realm. They're in the realm of forms or something, and it's Barbie talking to the creator of Barbie. And again, it's like they're both being used as a stand-in for this conversation to happen, for these ideas about.
Does Nick still live at home? I'm honestly, does he still live at home with his parents?
You know, what does Barbie mean in society with the weight of its commercialism and what it says about
I have time for that shit, bro. Give me the download.
beauty and beauty standards, femininity, and its whiteness and whatever. And Barbie is saying things like, "Oh, you know, I didn't save the world. I didn't do this." Like a big theme of the movie, and you can clock this throughout, is that in Barbie land, the women are self-assured. All the women are so.
The reason I ask is that he was talking about yelling at his parents' dog, and I was like, why? Like, why do you still live at home? Like, I would have sooner shot myself in the foot than still live at home when I was 25. No, Nick is not happy with the new dog. I got that message loud and clear. Nick wants a bunny, which is a horrible idea. Bunnies are little fuckers, man. Bunnies will chew up everything. Bunnies don't even like you. Like, I mean, whatever, he can do what he wants, but I think the bunny is a horrible idea. He's gonna end up hating the bunny and then like accidentally stepping on the bunny and then like eating the bunny or something like that. Yes, they poop everywhere. Exactly. I'm glad to hear that we're all on the same page about the bunny. It's a bad idea.
Empowered. Like there's a scene where Barbie in the real world sees an elderly woman at the bus stop and says, "You're so beautiful." And the elderly woman says, "I know." And everyone's supposed to be like, "Girl," because of course, you know, women are supposed to be cocky. You know, if you give a woman a compliment, to be bashful and say, "Oh, thank you," would be like in internalized patriarchy, you know, to think that she needs to be told she's beautiful. Fuck you. She knows she's beautiful. So there's a lot of that. And anyway, and that happens throughout the film.
If Nick got a parrot and then taught it to talk, that's a horrible freeze frame. Hang on. I'm not going to do him dirty like that. That's better. If Nick got a parrot and then taught it to talk like Nick and then like had it on the show or something, that would be fucking hilarious.
Beautiful. So there's a lot of that. And anyway, so
like Nick.
And that happens throughout the film. There's a lot of these exchanges where a Barbie will say something like, a big theme is the reinforcement of like, "I'm enough. I don't need compliments. I don't need you to tell me how beautiful or smart I am. Fuck you. I'm amazing." And so there's a scene at the end where Barbie is saying, "Oh, I didn't save the day. I didn't save Barbie world." And the creator of Barbie says to her, "Oh, what are you? Are you stereotypical Barbie? Or are you self-effacing Barbie?" On my right hand to God, this really happened. I was sitting in the front row. There was like a little girl with her mom sitting a few
Why is he sitting in the front row at the movies? That's a horrible place to sit. Is that
seats next to me, and the little girl says, "What's that?" And like, to me, that encapsulated the entire film. You know, they're in like, it's like the season or the series finale of Evangelion. There's like this very artistic ending. It's the creator of Barbie and Barbie as characters, as stand-ins for this postmodern.
Well, in that exact same conversation that Nick is talking about right now, the creator of Barbie also specifically said the patriarchy is not real. So while Nick was being distracted by the little girl in the front row, the little girl, by the way, is not who the Barbie movie was made for. The movie was made for her mother so they could have something to do together. Like, in that exact same conversation, the creator of Barbie says that the patriarchy is made up.
Political dialogue about what Barbie is. And the creator of Barbie says, "What are you, self-effacing Barbie?" And there's like a little girl in a fucking pink shirt who says to her mom, "What's that? What does self-effacing mean?" And it's like, yeah, exactly. And so above all, what the movie is to me is like a very bizarre, very weird movie. And it's, of course, it's a sign of the times. And it is that our society has become aware of itself. Eyes everywhere, cameras, microphones everywhere. The world becoming a global village, becoming a stage where everyone sees everything. And as a consequence of technology and globalization, we are more aware of ourselves and of others and history and our role in the world than ever before. It's a deeply self-conscious time.
Oh, hang on. I have a Rumble chat over on Rumble. Lisa, thank you. What would be fun to see Nick watch this video? What would be fun is to see Nick watch this video in 10 years, see what 35-year-old Nick thinks of 25-year-old Nick. I agree with that. I would like an honest assessment of what 25-year-old Nick thinks of 18, 19, 20-year-old Nick. I think that would be interesting. I do wonder, like, has he changed, like, and I'm asking, like, gropers, like, has he changed his ideas? I mean, I know a lot of his ideas are still the same, but, like, have you guys seen a shift in Nick? Because I'm gonna be honest, like, the content that I've watched in the last 2 weeks, it kind of feels like he's growing up. It's more mature than other things I had seen, which I think is good. You guys might not think it's good, but I would be interested to know, like, how many of his older ideas does he now go, okay, that was a fucking stupid thing I said because I was in college, sort of thing.
You know, people talk about like Marvel humor. People talk about like how in Star Wars and even in the superhero movies, they have to be always winking at the camera. It has to be like The Office. Every piece of media is almost above itself. It's too good. It has to be meta. It has to be self-aware. It has to be political. It's screenwriters writing characters and the characters being aware they're being written, aware that they reflect the screenwriters to an audience that's watching. The characters are self-conscious.
Well,
Self-conscious of a political.
Do you know why Nick keeps getting let down by friends and idols? Because some of the people that Nick chooses to associate with are horrible, toxic people. Like Baked Alaska, really? Who thought that was a good idea? Ali Alexander, really? You want to know why I wasn't involved in Stop the Steal at all? Because Walkaway was involved, and I was touring with Walkaway when Walkaway and Brandon got involved with Stop the Steal. I didn't want anything to fucking do with it because I wanted nothing to do with Ali Alexander. You're really gonna tell me people thought that was a good idea? That was not a good idea at all. Nope. You guys need better friends. You guys need better friends. That's all I'm saying. Like, I feel like we're getting along right now, but like this is like, you know, tenuous. I feel like this could go horribly wrong at any moment. But I'm willing to have your guys' back as long as you guys don't fuck me over and try to force me to be Catholic. Okay?
Political, self-conscious world. And so when people talk about the Marvel humor of Star Wars, where the Jedi has to say, they fly now, about the stormtroopers. What you know, in Iron Man, they have to say, oh, so we got a wizard and a this one and a that. Oh, well, this is pretty crazy. Am I right? And so every piece of media has to be self-referential, has to be meta, has to be ironic, has to be too good for itself to sort of to really be itself. Nothing can be itself. Iron Man can't be Iron Man. He has to be Iron Man in a movie. You know, Rey Skywalker cannot be a Jedi in a movie where it's good and evil. She has to be a character that was written, who's giving, you know, this snappy, corny dialogue. We're all in a fucking movie, am I right? Let's not take this too seriously. We're wizards in a movie. And Barbie can't be Barbie. Barbie can't be in a pink world.
Barbie.
Barbie has to be a postmodern, meta, self-conscious representation.
Barbie was not postmodern at all. This is completely wrong. Jesus Christ. Nick is still just pissed off at the American Fiera character and like the daughter was postmodern because she was corrupted by the public schools, but Barbie herself was not postmodern. This is not real.
Of what Barbie means in a feminist world of, you know, late stage capitalist developed society. And so I don't reject Barbie as a feminist liberal message. I reject this self-conscious insincerity. I mean, maybe more than anything, what I represent against Barbie, contra Barbie, is someone that is earnest, somebody that is sincere. I think what maybe the right wing represents is earnestness. Like, I'm not against Barbie because Barbie's feminist and I'm like, hey, it should be a movie about the family. Hey, Barbie should be a movie about femininity. It should be a movie about family. I'm here saying Barbie, let Barbie be Barbie. Barbie must become who she is without embarrassment, without being self-conscious. We should live in a world where Barbie can be Barbie. We should live in a world where
it was a world where Barbie could be Barbie, Nick. That was the whole fucking point. That was actually the point. How did you miss the entire goddamn point?
Cognizant of ourselves in a society where
I've noticed this too. Why are Nick's fingers so fucking long? Like, it's distracting. I've noticed it on a couple streams and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, it's weird. I mean, he can't help it, so it's not like I'm not trying to like drag him or anything, but they are extremely long and it's distracting.
Where people have attitudes. The true rebellion is not to be right wing. The rebellion is to be ourselves. The rebellion is to be comfortable in our own skin with who we are, with our real feelings, with our primordial human nature. That's the real.
You guys,
and that's what was
hang
missing.
on. You guys sent in a super chat to embarrass me last week because I said basically the same thing about Nick's pumpkin on Twitter. And then all of a sudden there was a super chat. Carlin saying Nick has a giant cock. When I didn't say that, I said he had a giant pumpkin. And now you guys are making the same joke. That's not fair.
Barbie. It's not, and that's maybe the worst thing about Barbie is that it's not a fun movie. It's funny. I think it's very funny, actually. There were a lot of moments where I was laughing because the characters are good. You know, Ryan Gosling's funny. Will Ferrell is funny. But it's not a fun movie. There's no suspension of disbelief. You can't really be enthralled or engaged in it because it's almost like a tedious intellectual exercise more than it is a fantasy. And it's Barbie. It's about a fucking pink princess, like a modern princess, like a girl fantasy. And instead of being a movie about the beach and outfits and cars, it's this very like I said, tedious, self-serious.
I understand what he's saying. I just don't agree with him, and I think he's
statement.
wrong. He is wrong
And
because he
who
wasn't.
wants that? I mean, everything.
Nick is wrong because Nick is not a person who played with Barbies growing up. It is impossible for Nick to have this information. So we can disagree on the interpretation, but don't say I don't understand what he's saying. I do understand what he's saying. I just don't agree with him.
These days reminds me of that movie, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Everything has to be this like psycho Jewish deconstruction. Do you know what I'm saying? So I watched a film last night. I watched Greyhound with Tom Hanks. It's on Apple TV. You should watch it if you get a chance. And it's almost like there's no story. It's a movie about the captain of a destroyer ship during the Battle of the Atlantic in World War II. And the whole
that sounds like
movie,
an awful
there's
movie.
Like no exposition. There's
I fucking
barely
hate war
any
movies.
characterization. The whole movie is just about a World War II battle. It's literally just about a destroyer trying to destroy submarines in the ocean. And that's it. There's no politics. There's no winking. It's just like, here's a movie about a boat captain in a boat war, in a boat battle.
Barbie only became a human at the very end when she decided to leave Barbie world and go hang out in the real world, but she was not a real woman for the entire movie. It was just at the end.
And this is how it goes, and this is what happens. And I love movies like that. The Northman is like this. Like I said,
I didn't like The
Greyhound is
Northman.
like this.
I really wanted to like The Northman because I love Alexander Skarsgård. Maybe I need to watch The Northman again because it was like a beautifully shot movie. I guess my problem with The Northman is that like it wasn't what I expected it to be, and I think I think my expectation for what the movie was kind of spoiled the movie for me. But maybe I should watch that movie again. I don't know. Alexander Skarsgård is beautiful anyway.
Revenant is like this. Like some of my favorite movies lately are movies like this. They're just stories about human beings. They're stories about characters in the world with the kinds of problems and emotions that we have, like The Patriot or Gladiator. You know, and I talked about some of these movies on Friday.
I'm a pagan bro, kind of.
They're stories about us. And what we're being given lately is just this trash. We're given this crazy psychologizing.
I actually think movies coming out lately are like much less woke than I would think that they would be. I'm really excited. Like there are so many non-woke movies coming up that they don't look woke anyway, that like are just about the story. Like can we just all be honest? Like movies sucked for like so many years. And then the pandemic happened and then the movies really sucked. And I feel like movies are making a comeback and I'm really excited about it. Again, like I really want to see that Hunger Games movie. I liked the Saw movie. There's a movie coming out with Zendaya where it's like a love triangle thing between her and two dudes and they're tennis players. I kind of want to see that. I want to see the Gran Turismo movie. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff I want to see that they just look like good stories and they're not woke. What movie did I watch the other day? A Knock at the Cabin, which M. Night Shyamalan's movie, which is like a knock at the, is that what it's called? The Knock on the Cabin? It's a really good effing movie. If you guys haven't seen this movie, it's so good. I'm not going to give away the ending. It's biblical. You guys will love it. It's a biblical movie. It has a good biblical message.
Stuff. But this is basically the result of political censorship in a certain vein, because every movie has to reinforce the attitudes all the time. Nothing could just be an earnest story.
Yeah, bro, you've lost your credibility. That's not what it was about.
There was like a trailer before Barbie for the Willy Wonka movie, and of fucking course, what's in the trailer for Willy Wonka? Well, it's Willy Wonka, who's a white guy. You can't change that. You can't make him black. It's a prequel. You'd have to explain how did Willy Wonka go from black to white? What, did he fall in the chocolate river? Like, So they couldn't make Willy Wonka a black guy or a black woman because it's a prequel and that character already existed 50 years ago. But they are going to add in a black girl sidekick. Which
Oh
is what they have
yeah,
to do
I
with
saw
everything.
that. I didn't like that.
Has to be a black girl, little girl sidekick who's flying around with him over the building and all this. Anyway, so I just, I don't like it. I'm a real human being. People hate me for my political views, but I'm just me. I'm not trying to be anything. I'm not trying to represent anything. I'm just me. I'm me. I'm a character. That's why I'm complex. That's why, a lot of people can't really peg me. And people even try to call me a hypocrite because they notice apparent contradictions. Well, I'm a
I was just about to make a really bad joke. I'm not going to make it. Sorry, we're almost done.
human being. I'm a human being that is filled with contradictions because I'm flesh and spirit. I'm body and soul. So of course, I'm filled with contradictions like any person. And I like stories about that and about, how we get along in life versus this. And even when I want to watch a movie about fantasy, I want to be invited into a fantasy. I don't want to watch some weird exercise debating about Barbie and, even elevating Barbie to this importance. It's so self-important. Who gives a shit about Barbie? All these kids do the
Women
tablets
who
anyway.
played
So
with
as always, it's
Barbies
about,
give shit
that's
about
what these
Barbie. It
postmodern
was for
people
women
love to do,
who
is to
played
take
with
something
Barbies.
that's really just like not that deep, like Barbie, and elevate it. This is the Warhol talking about the Coke logo. This is taking pop culture and ripping it to pieces and deconstructing it and saying,
I do like the Warhol reference. I'm impressed with that is like the worst freeze frame of the night. I'm sorry. We're gonna play it again in a second. I just wanted to say I like the Warhol reference. I'm impressed that he has the Warhol reference.
what does Barbie really mean? Why does Barbie represent the patriarchy and capitalism? And it's a plastic doll. And guess what? Everybody bought a fucking ticket for it. So is it really that deep? Anyway, so that's my review of Barbie. I didn't like it. And
Because it
despite
wasn't
what
made
John
for you,
Miller
Nick.
and his ilk. And don't get me wrong,
Wait.
I love John Miller.
John
Okay?
Miller liked Barbie? You know what? I have to say, people asked me to unblock John Miller on Twitter, and I didn't want to because the last interaction I had with John Miller was back in June of 2021, and I actually remember this because it was around the worst cancellation of my life, and John Miller photoshopped my face on a cow, and I didn't like that shit, and he put it on Twitter, and it caused a whole bunch of ruckus in my feed, and I blocked his ass. And I was not inclined to unblock John Miller. I know it's been a long time. I know people grow, but I really didn't appreciate that. And so, but people begged me, and then someone came into my feed and they very convincingly said he can't help being obnoxious. He's black. And I don't know. I was moved, I suppose, and I said, fine. General amnesty. I unblocked John Miller, and then John Miller actually came into my feed, and he was so nice, and he gave me an apology. He said, I am so sorry for the mistakes of my past, but I want to put it behind us. Will you accept my apology? And I said, yes, John Miller, I will accept your apology. It was actually a really nice moment, and so I appreciate that. And now that I know that John Miller is a fan of Barbie, I like him even more. John Miller and I have turned a corner.
Great guy. Despite what John Miller and his ilk have said, this is not a fun, John Miller says on his Telegram, this is a fun beach movie. Sorry, John, where's the fun? Where's the fun? I don't think it was very fun at all. It was funny. And, there were some fun parts. My favorite part is at the end when the Kens battle each other because it's just funny and silly and frivolous, and then they do a dance battle and they forget why they're fighting. Like that's to me what I was expecting. I wish the whole movie was like this. It's fun. But instead we get this movie where it's just like dreadful. It's just like a dreadful political thing. I wanted a fun beach movie. I wanted dance numbers. I wanted the beach. I wanted pink. I wanted shopping. That's what I would want out of a Barbie.
And you wonder why people
I
think you're
wanted
gay,
whimsy.
Nick. You
I
wonder
wanted
why.
whimsy. I wanted fantasy. I wanted a fantastical, whimsical, lighthearted beach story. Instead, I got this Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf Jewish deconstruction with the 31 flavors of diversity. It was poo. I didn't like it. 2 thumbs down. Fuck you. Movie sucked. Will not watch again. No replayability. Ryan Gosling was awesome.
I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna watch it at least 15 times.
Everything, and Margot Robbie, contrary to what people say, is hot. But okay, that's my review of Barbie. There's like a bug.
All right. I watched the whole Barbie review. I have to say, okay, like, I don't hate Nick for this take. I just think he's wrong, and I think he's misguided because he didn't play with Barbies growing up, and therefore he doesn't understand them. That's what I think the problem was. All right. So to wrap this up, I made a great effort today, guys. I tweeted at least 3 times asking people to send me the most offensive Nick Fuentes clips that they could send me. I went through Right Wing Watch's greatest hits of offensive Nick Fuentes clips. And I have to say, I'm a little disappointed. I know my voice is still a little bit raspy because I yelled for 3 hours yesterday on a stream, and then I did another stream, and then I talked a lot, and so I'm losing my voice. And so maybe it's a reflection of, like, I was just expecting to be yelling more. I was expecting to be more fired up. I was expecting to be more offended. This is the best that they can do. Why the fuck is this guy canceled? This makes no sense at all. It makes no sense at all. Like, I understand that I didn't go back and I didn't look at the 2019 thread that Benny Johnson put together, and I don't want to because it's been 4 years. Like, why am I going to hate Nick for something that he said when he was in college, or like, not because he dropped out, whatever, but like when he was college aged? Why am I going to hold that against him for the rest of his life? People do stupid shit in college. It's the way it goes. If I had been on the internet for hours a day, every day in college, yo, come on. Like, that's not fair. So I haven't seen anything tonight, and I've been streaming for 3 hours and 21 minutes that I'm deeply offended by. I'm allowed to have different opinions than him. He's allowed to have different opinions than me. I don't believe the Holocaust was fake. I'm not on board with the Holocaust denial shit. I'm not on board with the race shit. I'm really, really not. But he's allowed to think things that I don't agree with. And he's funny. He's like really fucking funny. And I think a lot of the things that people are upset about are him being funny in a way that the Groypers understand what he's doing. He understands what he's doing. And fuck it, it's funny. I laughed. Whatever. So I'm not offended. I'm not denouncing him. This is ridiculous. I want everyone to stop sending me shit in my DMs, like saying, did you know Nick Fuentes said this, that, and the other thing? I don't care. Like, we're moving on. I think the Groypers and I have, at least the ones that are here, are cool. And now it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to bed. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. If you want to come back for Socialism Saturday, we do Socialism Saturday on Saturdays at 6 p.m. And we watch Real Socialism, which is far more important than what I did tonight. But I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Well, night, evening, whatever, morning, wherever it is. Hey guys, have a good one. We'll see you soon.